Hey everybody, this is Cameron from Obnoxious and Anonymous, and welcome to the Twin Peaks Thought of the Day for Wednesday, October 18th. It is 2017. My guest tonight is someone who has not been here in over a month. Can you believe it has been over a month since this person has been on the video podcast? But welcome, Hal. Welcome back.
Hey, Cameron. I'm always watching though, man, or in the chat, so I'm there in spirit if I'm not on camera.
Well, that's good, but we got to get you back here more.
Here I am. Glad to be back.
So tonight we're going to talk about a bunch of things. There's not a lot of news out there, but we're going to make do with what we have. And then if you guys have any questions or comments, throw them in the chat, and we will address them to the best of our ability. So, Hal, first things first.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I don't know if it's still going on, but yesterday, a Criterion flash sale happened. And what's so funny is that their promotional code on their website was COOP. Capital right. C, capital O, capital P. And somehow it leaked early. So people, you could get 50% off on this sale. So if a Blu-ray of theirs is $40, you get it for 20, more or less. People started buying like Fire Walk With Me around like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, my time, when the sale wasn't supposed to start until a little bit after 9 a.m. So after a bunch of sales happened, Criterion shut it down. And then at about 9:15 or so, it relaunched. But that was a wild thing, man. But it was tied into the release of Fire Walk With Me. And because it hit under the $20 price, of course, I picked it up, which is what I wanted to. I said I wasn't going to get it until it went on that 50% sale. So lo and behold, it went on 50% off the first day. So yeah. that was great. I sent you and others the information that this was happening, but you said you had already pre-ordered on Amazon, and I said, Hal, just return it to Amazon, order it off Criterion. You're like, I can't. It just arrived on my doorstep. I have to open it. So Hal, yes. Why don't you take us through the Fire Walk With Me Criterion set, one piece at a time?
All right. So, and my lighting in here is pretty dim, so I'll kind of hold it up close. But here's the kind of cardboard outer box.
Okay, now don't move it.
Okay.
Now, so
see it there? Right.
Now, what Criterion has done here is they have the cardboard sleeve, right?
Right.
Much like they did with Eraserhead and Mulholland Drive. It's not the excuse me. It's not one of these, like they did with the Art Life, where it's like a snapper. So, all right, Hal, go ahead.
Yeah. So it's kind of the deluxe packaging. It's got the approved by David Lynch sticker on it, with his little signature, with the dots underneath his name, like he always signs. So,
well, hold it up so we can see it, though.
Can you see that?
No, not that. The rest of it. So you have the
back's pretty nondescript. It's just kind of a synopsis of special features. And
so the big special features that are included here are the new interview with Angela Badalamenti and the new interview with Cheryl Lee. Everything else is a repeat of some sort. So you have the missing pieces.
Did they have the trailers on the?
Yes.
Okay.
And what's funny is that they have the trailer for the missing pieces on here as well.
Okay, interesting.
Right. And they have the interview portion of the actors from the Between Two Worlds, not the character interviews.
Wonder why they omitted that. What was the importance of taking that out? Because is it just because it kind of jives with what we've now seen in season 3?
It may have been. There probably was some sort of thing with it. I don't know.
It didn't quite connect, maybe, like Sarah,
I don't know. Maybe it connects more with like Showtime, and this is still, even though this says CIBY, was distributed by New Line Cinema here in the States.
Right.
They kind of looked at it. This was going to be their arty Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and it kind of backfired on them.
All right. So to continue on, here's the disc itself with the Owl Cave Ring logo. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so now then the disc itself is housed in this, and it's got a couple of neat images. The painting from Laura's wall of what we now know as kind of the above the convenience store.
Hal,
Yes.
how long have we been doing these Twin Peaks podcasts?
You've been doing them forever.
If you have to describe to our audience what that
Fair
picture
enough.
is,
You're right. My bad.
No,
All right, so everybody knows what this is then.
that's is that Laura's or James' half of the necklace?
It doesn't specify. I'm
right.
guessing Laura's, since James was covered in mud, probably. And then the really nice thing is inside here, this beautiful double gatefold above the convenience store image. Isn't that nice?
I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, very nice. Okay, and then of course we go to the booklet, and here's the front cover of the booklet: a blue rose on fire, the red curtains behind, and then this nice image of the statue in the red room with a little smoke, ghostly smoke surrounding it, which is very nice. And then the booklet, of course, it's chock full of images. So it starts off with the angel painting.
Okay, now I have a question for you, and maybe you would know this, or maybe the chat would know this.
Yeah.
Okay, that picture looks like something you would just find at like some random Goodwill, right?
Right.
But nobody has ever been able to track down that picture again. Did Lynch himself commission that artwork to be made, or was that something the prop department found?
I think it's probably some vintage old painting that somebody found. That would be really interesting to track down the original.
I think it's I always thought it would be, but I think it was commissioned because they had to do two of them to take the angel out.
That's true. It's possible. It just looks so vintage, though.
But then whoever did it did a great job, because it is like the cheesiest thing you could ever see, like at a Goodwill. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It even looks like the materials are old. It looks aged. So, it'd be interesting to see if we could track down who the original artist was, or whether it was created just for the movie itself. But then we get into the contents of the booklet, and it reads cast and credits, and then the next section is called "Suddenly My House Became a Tree of Sores, a Tale of Twin Peaks." And then the last thing in the table of contents is about the transfer. So then we've got the kind of cast credits as they appear in the movie. And then this is kind of the essay.
Suddenly my house became a tree of sores. Is that what it says?
Yeah.
A Tale of Twin Peaks. Who wrote the essay?
The essay is written by, maybe that's at the end. Let's see. Oh, I think it's just there's a little bit of a preamble, and then it goes into the Lynch on Lynch excerpt from what's his name? Ridley.
You know, if I was on the Criterion team putting this together, I would have asked Mark Frost to write the essay. Yeah, I know. I mean, they keep reprinting the Lynch on Lynch book, but we have that book. It would be nice to have new essays. Can you imagine? I've heard Mark Frost make statements about the movie in the past, like when it came out or shortly thereafter. But can you imagine like a nice, like 5 or 6 page booklet essay by Mark Frost about Fire Walk with Me, how it came to be, what were his thoughts initially, maybe how the movie's growing on him, or, something like that. That would have been really amazing. Yeah, it would be interesting to hear his take, after the fact, because he notoriously was unhappy with it originally, right? So it'd be interesting to see. But he showed us obviously, I know a lot of people credit Lynch a lot for season 3 and for obvious reasons, but Frost did help take a lot of those loose strands that were just kind of thrown out there in Fire Walk with Me, and did kind of like work through them so that they kind of all of a sudden Philip Jeffries started making a lot more sense, or the Al Cave symbol became the infinity, and all that. It's things like that Lynch himself just wouldn't really think about a lot of times. And Frost is still trying to keep up with Lynch's imagination, but still try to make it some sort of logic in there, you know? So
yeah, where some of the things seemed, out of left field, like the Philip Jeffries stuff, he's, they successfully kind of dovetailed it into the greater mythology.
He's in the movie for 1.5 minutes in the finished movie, right?
Yeah.
And yet he's a central character, even if he's off screen for season 3.
Yeah, still so disappointed that poor David Bowie couldn't join the cast of season 3. That would have been so amazing to have him in there for that length of time. And
you know what? I mean, they threw Don Davis's head in there. They could have, had David Bowie's head floating at the top of the machine or whatever it was.
Yeah, that his estate may not have allowed. I wonder if they even approached him about doing something like that.
I'm making jokes.
It would have been cool. The essay is chock full of
what's that picture?
Still photos, just nice juxtapositions.
Oh, that's Lil. I thought that was like a chocolate heart box.
No. Gordon and Lil, and then what else do they have? Here's a nice Chet and Teresa juxtaposition.
Yeah, but these are pictures we've always seen.
They are. They're just still photos, but it's nice packaging. As we move on, it's just more. It's just cool to see those images. It's just nice artwork, good still photos.
Yeah. I like the Jumping Man picture. That's good.
The Jumping Man picture is good. Yeah. Bobby kissing the display case with Laura's picture, and
it's Laura's picture from the house, not the school.
That's true. Yeah, it is that different pose, isn't it?
They flipped it, just like so much of the movie is flipped. That I always thought it was a continuity error when I first saw it. I remember being in the movie theater, going, "What the hell?" Basically,
what the hell?
Like that's the wrong picture. Did they make a mistake? Were they moving at such a speed they made a mistake? But there's so many flipped mistakes in that movie that I've come to terms with it. It was done on purpose. Like all of those flipped. So, all right, go ahead.
Scowling Leland and the Tremons. Is that too dark to see?
You mean the Chalfons?
Or the Chalfons?
You mean the Tremons?
The Tremons. And then
what year is this, Hal?
What do we have? Yeah, what year is this? There's another couple of images here. The girls in the hotel room.
Right.
And moving through. It's a nice long booklet.
Moving through time, Hal.
There's Crazy Michael J.
Now that's a different picture of Teresa Banks, is it not?
No, that's the one from Flesh World.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, it looks a little bit different. I could have sworn
I think it's just
I thought it was a different pose.
Blown up and makes it look distorted a little bit because it's really large. There's a good Bob and James. Strange juxtaposition there.
You're right.
One cool, one not so cool. And then beautiful double page spread of the horse.
Hey, it's the horse from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
And then just a couple more here. We've got, Laura in light and Laura in blue.
Okay, so she's dead in the blue pose, and then the upper pose is when she's laying on Donna's couch, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then this is a good one. Double page blood splattered Bob releasing his Garmonbosia.
Right.
And then
that was another thing in season 3 that Mark Frost really elaborated on, the idea of the blood soaking into the lodge, and then that meant the spirit was then in the lodge, that kind of type of thing.
Mm-hmm. One more, the image of the angel, and then on the back again that picture
without the angel.
Without the angel, correct? Yeah, you're right.
Awesome.
Yep, good deal.
Well, you know what? That's a really great little package there. Did you pop in the disc yet?
I have not.
Okay, because I'm curious about the menu. I have gotten confirmation that it is more or less the exact same transfer as the entire Mystery Fire Walk With Me disc.
But I hope the sound problems are corrected, because that's why I bought it.
Exactly. I think the sound problems are you know, it'll be corrected, I'm sure. But I'm just saying the movie won't look substantially different on your TV. It's going to look more or less the same.
Yeah.
That was like my thing about it, is that when Criterion, I'm so happy when Criterion releases any movie I love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when they announced Fire Walk with Me, I was like, okay, I can see it. That's awesome. Glad they're doing it. I'm kind of bummed though that it's coming out so close. It's been 3 years, but it just feels like almost like yesterday that the entire mystery box set came out. So it kind of was like almost too fast.
Yes, it does. It does feel a little like a retread. Like, I just bought that. You know, I hesitated, except I want that sound column corrected.
If this Criterion disc had come out in 2014 and we hadn't gotten an entire mystery Blu-ray box set, do you realize how fast everybody would be buying this disc to get all the missing pieces?
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm curious. I want to know the numbers for this selling. Because while I think like I bought it, but I waited, I waited until I hit 50%, but still I bought it. You bought it. I know other people bought it. I know Mandy bought it, and she's all the way up in Canada. So she had to pay like several more dollars to get it, sent to her. But I'm curious because we all own this. We all own the missing pieces. The only thing we don't have are those 2 interviews, and we've pretty much heard everything they're going to say in those interviews anyway.
Yeah.
So this disc, honestly, is just for crazy completionists like us.
Pretty much.
I can't.
And it's also, just to support the, it's kind of like I buy it because I want to show that there's interest in the show.
Well, not only that, but one, you make the excellent point that because there were sound issues on some people's Blu-ray players, because you had to have the newest player with the newest software in order for it to like not have issues. But some people still had issues regardless of that.
I had a brand new player. It was certain models seemed to be that were having the issues. So, and I had a Sony, and I just had bought it, so I couldn't believe it.
Right.
And I couldn't believe that CBS was unwilling to correct it or even acknowledge it.
So yeah, and I am kind of surprised too that they didn't put the Moving Through Time documentary on here. A couple of other things from the entire mystery box set that pertain to Fire Walk with Me. That kind of surprised me too, because it more or less is sort of like disc 1 of the movie that we already have with a few little other sprinkles in there.
And it would have been perfect because Mark Frost talked about on the air. What if they would have included that as a bonus? That would have made it sell through way more too,
Completely. You know what have really made it sell huge? If this was never going to happen, but if Lynch had gone back with his original cut before he started cutting all the scenes out and restored his initial 3-hour cut of it.
That's forthcoming. Based on some of Sabrina Sutherland's comments at the UK Twin Peaks Fest. Did you hear her mention that?
Okay, hold it. Say again?
Okay, Sabrina Sutherland was asked if Lynch had ever considered re-editing the missing pieces into the movie because there's a fan edit out there that's fairly good, as we both have talked about. She said that's something he is considering as a future project. Yes, but she said if you've seen the fan edit, he will be doing it in a different way. So that's cryptic, but man, that's promising.
Well, let's be honest here. I really do like that fan edit. We've talked a little bit about it.
Yeah,
but not all of those missing scenes have to necessarily be in the movie.
Right.
There's core ones that probably should be, but maybe not all of them. So I understand that.
Yeah, and for him to re-edit and make it seamless and add sound, and that would be fantastic.
I don't know who it was, but God bless them. When they did the movie theater screening of the missing pieces back in 2014, when they did that big red carpet event, somebody asked Lynch, maybe it was the digital bits guys, I don't know, but whoever it was, God bless you. They said, what's next, Lynch? Are you going to restore the missing pieces to Dune? And he actually like started laughing, and not like ha 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 ha, but like they caught him in such a mood that I've never seen Lynch just completely belly over with laughter.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah. So I don't think we'll be getting that special edition anytime soon.
Yeah, Alan Smithy will not be doing a re-edit on Dune.
But you know what, though? If he did, that would sell like hotcakes.
Oh, my God.
You know, somebody contacted me today to let me know that I don't know how long it's going to be, but the Blue Velvet deleted scenes have been dropped on YouTube by somebody in HD quality. So if you haven't gotten that Blu-ray disc, all the deleted scenes in one complete, 50-minute package is on YouTube. So yeah, I mean, those are really interesting. I can see why all those scenes were cut. I'm not asking for any of those scenes to be reinstated into Blue Velvet, nor am I asking for those Wild at Heart deleted scenes to be incorporated. But
I would like that. I would like the Wild at Heart extended with the scene with Grace Zabriskie uncut.
Okay, but even that scene was not included in the lime green box set.
No, it was not. But that to me is the holy grail of Lynch outtakes. I would love to see that reinserted. I
would just like Wild at Heart released in the original Cons screening, where it's just 1 second of film where you see Willem Dafoe's head get blown off without the smoke,
without being obscured by smoke. Yeah,
that would be great. And I'm honestly surprised that when they did put it out on DVD that they didn't just do that. I mean, it's 1 second,
I know.
And apparently, like overseas, there have been releases of it without the smoke. So, the print already exists. But Fire Walk with Me, even though Lynch, I know, likes to say theatrical films are his director's cut, et cetera, et cetera. The thing is that Blue Velvet, he got it the way he really wanted it. Wild at Heart, he got it the way he wanted it. Fire Walk with Me was always supposed to be this longer version, but because of time constraints and also the pace in which he made the film, he couldn't get it all in, and also he was rushed to make the Cannes screening, so he couldn't finesse the movie as much as he had wanted to. So I think that's why he wants to go back and do this, unlike some of his other projects.
Yeah, and that also seems to be a good maybe foreshadowing for even more Twin Peaks, because why would he go in there? It seems like he wants to make this, his final vision or whatever, so he can go back and tweak it. And it seems like that would portend for more in the future, because otherwise why wouldn't he just be done with it at this point?
But I am supporting the Fire Walk with Me Criterion because, from what I understand, they're working on all of Lynch's movies.
Yeah.
And if this sells, then that will finally get us Wild at Heart on a quality Criterion Blu-ray. It will get us Lost Highway on a US Blu-ray, which would be great.
Straight Story.
That's Disney. Disney does not let
farm out their stuff to Criterion.
No. But dare I even say, I think Inland Empire really needs a good release on Blu-ray. We have the DVD, we have the 2-disc, and that's fine. But I think because if you ever tried to watch Inland Empire on a Blu-ray player on an HD TV, it looks terrible. So I mean, obviously that is the Sony PD-150 camera he used, but still, I would like to see some sort of an upgrade to it.
With the and more things that happen re-edited in and no chapter stops, so you have to watch.
Listen. The more things that happen, all those deleted scenes, all of that was in the original premiere at the Polish Film Festival.
Wow.
So yeah, it was 4 hours and 20 minutes long when they premiered it.
Whoa.
Okay. Yeah. Forget about David Lynch's coffee. They should give people razor blades at the door. This is the only way out.
We're so mean to that film. It's not fair, probably, but I need to.
You know what, though? I tease it. I tease it a lot.
Exactly.
Right. But I will say this, though. It is Twin Peaks season 3 is the closest to that movie in terms of like structure and time structure.
Mm-hmm.
Just in going back and forth and not knowing where the hell we are half the time.
True.
So, you know, there is a lot of Inland Empire. And that's why I tell people, if you want to continue that season 3 vibe, just pop in Inland Empire, because it's pretty much that.
I'm going to do that soon too. As the weather gets colder, it seems to, the nights get longer. It'll be time to settle down and revisit that one.
Okay. So, next thing is we had the UK Twin Peaks Festival. And by all accounts, it looks like it was a tremendous success. Everyone had a great time. I had a couple of people. I had Frank and Richard giving me little videos from the festival. So that was fantastic.
I love the way, who's the actor that played Freddy? I love that he sat there the whole time with the green glove on, man. That was genius. It's like he cosplayed himself.
Well, I mean, that's how people would recognize him and know who he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have that much screen time, but he will go down in Twin Peaks Wikipedia as the killer of Bob.
Exactly.
Or at least the one that, shoved him back into the Black Lodge.
You've got Killer Bob, and now you've got Killer of Bob.
So then soon after that, we had the festival disruption. Now, I've seen some pictures from that, but I didn't get any information. It looked like everyone had a great time. Did you hear anything about it?
I have not. I looked around and I saw a couple of still photos, and there was some article saying they got into the mind of David Lynch there, and I was hoping for some video of a speech or a talk by him, and couldn't find anything. So
yeah, I have a lot of people on my Facebook that were tagging people and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, cool. It looked like everyone had a great time, but I could tell you nothing about that, what happened there.
No.
Okay, so then we had the Double R Diner pop-up store happen in Los Angeles, right off Melrose, or on Melrose, yes. I think. And Jeffrey, one of our longtime viewers, told me he was going, and so I had him do a live report from the location, and I thought that was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun.
So I want to ask you, because there's a lot of controversy about this, what do you think of this pop-up store idea?
I liked it conceptually, but yet there's a part of me that's also going while I like the sort of Twin Peaks stuff being injected into the pop culture, it seems to be bordering on the cheesy a little bit. And, I thought, cool, I like the outside of it, the exterior of it, and I liked the fact that they were doing it. But then when we went inside, it was like macaroons and a little rancid looking cherry pie, and and it just didn't seem to be anything that I would have gotten excited about. And when I first heard about it, I thought, great, Halloween, you go in there, there's tons of merch, tons of things to buy, really cool. Hopefully they would have really cool stuff. And it just, when you went inside there, it just fell flat. It was just stuff from the Showtime store and not even the full stock of the things they have.
That was one issue I had with it, is that, again, and a lot of things were sold out when we did the video, but still, it did seem like, if this was going to be a Showtime way of gaining some attention for the show, put all your stuff in there from the online store.
It should have been packed to the gills, and they should have had tons of boxes as soon as they were out. Replenish.
It should have been like a Spirit Halloween store, just huge.
Exactly.
Anyway, like I said on the video, okay, because today, surprise, surprise, a number of Twin Peaks actors showed up at the store. Obviously to boost the tension and that type of thing.
Sure.
So we had, Amy Shields was there, and a lot of the other actors. Even your doppelganger was there, the got a light guy. Yeah. So that was great, and obviously anyone who was there for that time, awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
That's great stuff there. Like I said in the video, if I lived near where Jeffrey lived, which was within a 1 mile radius of the place, I'm all over this place. That's fantastic. I'd be there taking pictures with all the stuff, and it's great. If I like got in my car and drove several hours to check this place out, I would have been very disappointed.
It would have been a bummer, yeah. Well, especially if you got there late when the shelves were pretty much depleted.
Right. So I think with the idea
I did see you looking at the socks like you hadn't seen them, so I have to show you, camera.
You were so cheesy.
I know, I'm just complaining about the cheesy marketing, and here I am with the socks, man.
Oh my Lord.
They're cool though. They got the little, see, they got the little David Lynch design logo there. See that?
I see it.
What can I say?
They should have had they should have had like male boxers with the infinity logo right over the crotch. No, but listen, I'm not putting down these type of stores. I think they're really cool. But I'm just saying that, like, if one pops up in your area, great, but I wouldn't travel, more than 45 minutes to check it out.
That's right. All. Unless they announced that the stars were gathering there, and then that would be a good time to get a photo up. That's probably why they did it in LA, just so they could have some of the actors, walk in.
Right. But the store though is getting a lot of negative controversy as well, because I've seen people online say this is BS. This should be happening in North Bend at the real location. They should keep it a local thing in that area and not have it, just kind of pop up everywhere. What do you think about that?
I mean, from a purist standpoint, I can see that point, but from a marketing standpoint, come on, it's just it's like I said, more opportunity for the actors to appear when you're in Los Angeles. They're not going to travel to North Bend to do a half-hour cameo.
Okay, well, great. But if you were going to take that position in terms of it should only be in North Bend and not in hipster Hollywood,
yeah,
then we can't have the UK Twin Peaks Festival then.
Right. If everything has to be in North Bend, then yeah. Well, and even the show took place outside of Twin Peaks, so you could say conceptually that's fine too. Well, you could have it in Vegas, maybe.
Well, listen, I'm okay with the LA store because, one, that's where pretty much everybody is, and let's be honest here, a number of locations and the majority of season 1 and season 2 were filmed in Los Angeles.
Yeah. What would have been really cool is they find this Johnny Rockets and they turn that into double R, but they could have found a Johnny Rockets next to a gas station and then had the dark side, the convenience store with the woodsman walking around. And they could have sold some of the Owl Cave stuff in there. They could have done it better, Well,
listen, they turned the Johnny Rockets into the diner because that's the easiest transition to do.
Yes.
But what I would have loved them to do is I wish they had maybe got a like a small little studio, and there's tons of them all over the place, just kind of walk in audition studios that people rent, and they could have just turned that into like the Black Lodge.
Yeah.
And just had everything in there. That would have been awesome, just to walk into the Black Lodge and start shopping.
No doubt.
They have the back room with with like a guy just fixing a fluorescent light, Sorry, yeah. I think there's something wrong with the transformer here. Things like that. I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's fun. I wish they would pop up in other cities though. There's a lot of cities in this country that would probably love to have Twin Peaks show up for a week in their town. Yeah.
They could do one in like a horrible town and do a Hapsteiner.
Okay, but we have had the UK Festival, the Festival Disruption, this pop-up store. We have the Mark Frost book coming out very soon. Although I did get a notification from Amazon saying that I'm not going to get it for like a week after it's released.
Me too. Yeah, it's like on the way. It'll be arriving like November 5th or 6th.
Shouldn't Amazon, okay, they've been around for a long time, over 20 years now. Mm-hmm. Shouldn't they release the items to you so that by release date, you have it?
This came out. I received this on the day of its release. So if they can do it with this, why couldn't they do it with Mark Frost's book?
Right. So then I'm going to have to ignore people on the internet while this book is, being mailed to me.
Right.
So yeah, the book's going to be delayed by 1 week. I don't have any bookstores in my area. Otherwise I would just go to a bookstore and pick it up. But, and
Well, I can wait a week to get the online discount too. I don't want to pay full retail for it just for a week.
And then, I thought of something really bad. You can just go to your local Barnes and Noble and read it, and then just put it back, and then have yours. But anyway, I don't know if you saw that I had gotten the Secret History again.
Yes, I did see that.
But it was all war. It was all war.
had a minuscule blemish, so you had to send it.
No. Did you see the paper? It was like.
It was pretty warped. Yeah,
it was warped. So
sent that back too.
So I sent it back. It took them like a week and a half for whatever reason for it to get to Vegas and be scanned, and then I still haven't gotten my replacement. So I don't know. So Amazon is just dropping the ball right now when it comes to Twin Peaks stuff.
Maybe you'll get both books on the same day.
Oh God, I'm just gonna be killed by Mark Frost's book.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I said, we've had the UK festival, the Festival of Disruption. We've had the LA pop-up stores, Mark Frost book coming out. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Do you feel it in the air, Hal, where this is heading?
Well, I'm hopeful for sure. And yes, I don't feel negative about it. I feel positive about that there will be more. Something seems to be continuing.
They're keeping it in the zeitgeist.
Yes.
Right. And again, I'm not saying that season 4 is going to be announced anytime soon. I believe Lynch when he says, "Hey, it took us a long time to get season 3 done." So
right.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to come out and say season 4 comes out next fall.
No.
Stay tuned to Showtime. But like I've said before, this is my prediction that by Thanksgiving we're going to get an announcement for 1 or 2 standalone Twin Peaks movies on Showtime. And that doesn't mean Lynch will direct them. I mean, they could give 1 to Mark Frost and 1 to Showtime's little darling, Leslie Linka Glatter. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We get 2 standalone movies, and then here's the killer one. Showtime will greenlit an original film by David Lynch. Those 3 things will keep Showtime subscribers happy until they do a season 4, if they do a season 4.
Yeah, I can see that if they do plan a season 4 somewhere way up ahead, that Lynch does a project prior to that. I think what they just announced Netflix, Martin Scorsese's doing an original movie for Netflix, so it makes sense.
For $100 million.
Wow.
Netflix is apparently bankrupt, but they're still raking in enough to make a $100 million Martin Scorsese movie.
Yeah.
But again, a limited series, and it's over, right? So the actors should be released from all their non-disclosure agreements, but they're not.
Yeah, and they still seem to be super serving the fans, especially Sabrina Sutherland, who's just above and beyond as far as appearances and engaging with the fans.
She is absolutely delightful.
She is.
I've read online people saying they had bad experience with her. I've never had a single bad experience with her. Anything that I've written to her, said to her, she's always been the nicest, kindest, warmest person towards me.
Yeah, she's super responsive to the fans, which is, great.
Did you see Julie Cruz's Facebook post?
I did. She did a 180, did she not?
She did. Why don't you tell people about it?
She posted something that just says, I love David Lynch, or something to that effect. And then a few days before that, she was posting about how she was a whiny diva and felt bad for her initial reaction. And that I think she said that even her harsh words would not have been would not have been misconstrued by people that knew the truth or whatever, including David Lynch. I can't remember the wording, but she definitely did a turnaround.
Let's see. Reggie says, are they selling the Criterion Blu-ray at the pop-up shop? No, they are not. Everybody loves your socks, Hal.
You should see my underwear.
Wow. That is definitely a Blue Rose case right there. Ronald Yoder says, we need to petition for Hal to play a woodsman next season. I thought
about doing it for Halloween, but I can't. I couldn't get it together for some reason. I couldn't find the exact right things. So.
Don't you dare do that for Halloween. Nobody will know who you are.
I don't care if one person walked up to me and said, "Got a light," I would go, that was totally worth it. I don't care if I remember one time at a Halloween party, and I've talked about I like the show Preacher, but before that it was a comic book, and one time at a Halloween party, this guy was dressed up with the the Preacher outfit and everything, and the eye patch, and he walked in and I go, "Jesse Custer," and he goes, "Thank you. You're the only one that recognized me. You made my night." And that's exactly how I would feel. If one person got off on it, that makes it worth it.
That's hilarious. Nick says, do you want a brand new movie by Lynch, a new script and a new story? I'd be fine with that. I would love him to do something new. I mean, listen, you have to look at it from Showtime's point of view. How do they keep subscribers? Because they've already lost a bunch. Are you still subscribed to them?
I am. I keep thinking every day, yeah, I got to call and cancel that. But then there's a part of me, again, that just kind of has this thing about, I want to keep supporting, even though that's not really supporting it anymore because it's not airing any new content. But I'll probably cancel it soon. But there's something holding me back, and I can't define what it is.
I understand the people who are canceling because now we have a definitive date the Blu-ray is coming out.
Yes.
If you didn't have that date, I could see people holding on to their subscription. But
yeah, and I have no interest in rewatching it on Showtime because I know the Blu-ray is coming out. So I don't know why I haven't unsubscribed.
And I can't wait to see the Blu-ray just because of the pure picture.
Yes.
Showtime really had an issue with some of their compression, especially with their blacks.
The blacks where it looked all pixelated.
There were times I couldn't even see what was going on.
Right.
And it doesn't have, and it's not just because I was watching at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
With the daylight streaming in on it. Yeah,
I mean, just some of the overhead tree shots I couldn't even make out.
Hey, let me ask you something, because I have a 5.1 surround system, but like Firewalk with Me is in 7.1. Are you losing information if you watch it in surround sound, but you've only got 5.1 if it's encoded in 7.1?
Oh God. Maybe.
Or would it be better to watch in the stereo version?
I would watch it in the stereo version, just because that's the original soundtrack for it.
Mm-hmm. But if it's 7.1, wouldn't that information bleed into the rear speakers or something, or would it just be gone altogether?
I'm the wrong person to ask about this.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot. I don't know a lot about sound.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe somebody in the chat knows whether we'd lose that information totally, or whether your system, if 5.1, whether 7.1 would translate to 5.1 without losing anything.
I'm curious to know: is this the U.S. theatrical version we're getting on the Blu-ray, or are we getting the European version, which is when they're in the pink room, there's no subtitles?
I'm betting the subtitles are there.
Sure. I'm just saying, overseas, they got it with no subtitles and that sound just blasting.
Right.
But New Line...
I am as blank as a fart and you can't hear a damn thing I'm saying.
Well, no, New Line was like, listen, there's a kind of a lengthy scene. Can we...
Right.
And Laura's screaming things like, what? You talked about my father? You can't have that kind of drowned out.
I love it, though, because that's exactly how it is when you're in a club trying to have a conversation. It's like, what?
Let's see here. Oh, they're saying that Thomas saying, I don't think David Lynch is that much of a brand for Showtime. Maybe not, but they had the biggest amount of subscribers in the history of Showtime with this show. They don't want to all of a sudden see a bunch of headlines saying mass exodus. Everybody just leaves.
Well, and what brand do they have? So, I mean, if Netflix can say, hey, we got Scorsese, Showtime could say, hey, we got David Lynch. That is a good brand. Whether it's currently their brand or not, I think it would be quite a crown to have him.
Do you think Netflix would because they have the first 2 seasons on their streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's possible, because obviously CBS Showtime has that relationship with Netflix? What about Netflix getting involved with putting up maybe half the budget so Showtime isn't fully responsible? They weren't fully responsible as far as I'm aware of for this new season too, because a lot of that money also came from Paris and places like that. But do you think Netflix could put up some money for this series, and maybe Lynch, in the way he does things, kind of breaking the rules? Is it possible for them not to release it on Showtime, but maybe release it on Netflix, but do it 1 episode a week and not have it all drop?
You mean season 3? Replaying it?
No, season 4.
Oh, season 4.
Or something else.
Or anything else.
Like, let's say they did like a 6 episode limited series, right? Instead of having all 6 drop on one day, could Lynch? I'm sure Lynch could talk Netflix into doing 1 per week.
Yeah, why not? I mean, he talked Showtime into doing it his way. I'm sure that it's his way or the highway either way. So if they want it bad enough, they'll do it as he intends.
Sure, I can't imagine that being an issue, because I know that was the big thing while he wanted to do on Showtime versus Netflix. He didn't want the just massive dump of everything in one thing, but they could have made it work. Yeah. But then Netflix never releases their numbers either, and Showtime would like to say, hey, we got a lot of subscribers and we got a lot of views and that type of thing. So keep our fingers crossed. But I really do think it is building towards something, because like I said, Showtime doesn't want to lose all these people, and for a show that ended in September, early September, we're still hearing about it, we're still talking about it, and not just one thing. We have the UK festival, the Festival of Disruption, these pop-up stores, the book coming out. I mean, that's 4 big things that's drawing massive people, at least the people who are interested in this stuff.
So Mark Frost's book comes out on Halloween. The Blu-ray drops December 5th. Christmas comes and goes, still no announcement. Is your heart going to sink?
Say that again. Christmas comes around.
So Christmas comes and goes. We're now into 2018 and still no word. Would you? What do you think the chances of more are if that comes to be?
I think chances are still good at some point, but it just shows that it's not a priority for Showtime, or maybe it broke down in the conversation between Lynch and Showtime.
Do you think that if there is no more, that we will have a statement saying that, or will we just hear nothing?
It would be responsible of them to say that, but there will never be no more Twin Peaks.
Right. They'll never say there is no more Twin Peaks,
because it will come back in our lifetime, whether we want it to or not.
Well, and they like to keep it, the concept is, just conceptually, it's a continuing story.
It's a continuing story, but after Lynch and Frost are no longer here, come on, it's going to come back. Someone like Brian Fuller will take it and revamp it, and we'll get the new Twin Peaks. Yeah.
Well, Lindelof and Hughes said that somewhere up the line, Lost will be a franchise and they'll do Lost again. But, what would that be? I mean, would that even be worth it?
Well, I'm just saying, nothing really goes away. And when you have an established IP, I mean, we're talking not art here, we're talking commerce here.
True.
look, I mean, Twin Peaks, yeah, it's a niche, but it's a niche that, like, I mean, look at us. We already own Firewalk with Me on DVD, maybe on VHS, on Laserdisc, on Blu-ray. We already have the missing pieces, and yet we're buying the Criterion disc that has everything we already own. Right? So they know there's money in them peaks.
What if there's something in the contract that says after they die, no one else can touch the material? Because like guys like Charles Schultz, who did Peanuts, when he died, it's like no one else can draw Peanuts.
True, but I also think that in a way it would be a little sad, because I think there's so much rich material in there.
Mm-hmm.
That I think responsible people should be able to maybe explore it. Maybe I don't want to see anybody redo it.
No.
Where Laura Palmer dies again and we have to go through the whole thing again. But I don't know. There's lots of little side stories you could tell.
Seems like though that with most of the original cast, dying, that at some point it will not resemble Twin Peaks anymore, other than in name only.
Well, some people would say that's what season 3 was.
True.
I mean,
and maybe that's the grand design, that Twin Peaks is everything and can encompass all ideas. So ultimately it's a state of mind rather than the specific.
How long, I mean, it's not a criticism, but how long were we really in Twin Peaks in this series? I would say total, not even a whole episode.
Right.
Out of 18 hours. I would say maybe 40 minutes.
Right.
I'm not counting the Black Lodge stuff. I'm talking about just the town of Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 40 minutes tops. And 10 of those minutes was Dr. Jacoby spray painting shovels.
And a guy sweeping the floor.
All right, but here's a question for you. Do you think... Oh, this is the $1 million question here. Because Michael Onkeent was looking for his jacket.
Yes.
And then we were talking during the show, like they keep referencing Harry. They could have just referenced him at the beginning and just say, Harry's sick. He's, cooling off over here. And his brother's the sheriff now. Right? But They kept having references to Harry, having Robert Forster calling him a couple times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's my question for you. Do you think that maybe Michael Onkeent was coming back, and then when he realized that Harry was going to contribute nothing to this series, he said, it's not worth it, and didn't come out? Because if you look at Frank Truman, which I love Frank Truman. I love Robert Forster's portrayal of Frank Truman. But at the end of the day, what does Frank Truman contribute to this series?
Well, the cast was so huge, you could say that about a lot of the characters.
But what I'm saying, look in part 17. He doesn't even leave his chair at the desk when all the woodsmen come out, when Cooper comes in, you know what I mean? Like he just sits there. His hat flings up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in the grand scheme of things, maybe Michael Onkeent looked at, got his role sent to him, different pieces of the role, and was like, what is this? And was like, I'm not coming out here.
It's interesting that, like Sabrina Sutherland also alluded to the fact that there was people that said no to it, like Lara Flynn Boyle, she mentioned specifically, was approached and said no. She also said that some of the locations, people weren't happy to have them there and refused, which was shocking to me, but I guess that's reality. But I wish she would have given more details about that. But.
So yeah, what I heard from the UK festival was that they approached everybody beforehand.
Yes.
To kind of gauge as to who was available, who was not interested, and then they were gonna, write the script around what they had. But that kind of surprises me because both Ian Buchanan and Piper Laurie told me that they wanted to come back, but they weren't incorporated into it. So that's interesting. I mean, yeah, you could say, well, there was no story for them in this. Well, yes, but the story was created after everyone said yay or nay. So, you know,
of course, then you could go the positive route and say, well, maybe they approached them and said, but you're in the next season.
Well, look, I mean, at the end of part 17, they showed Laura's body going away, right? And so that's wonderful. And they could have just shown Pete walking out and noticing the body wasn't there. But they cut twice to Josie. They showed Pete saying goodbye to Catherine. You know, there was no need to show Josie twice. Okay. I mean, obviously that's the opening scene of the pilot, but still though, Josie contributes nothing to this section of part 17, especially since we've never even seen Josie at all in this new season. Right. So it leads you to believe, well, why are we being shown Josie again? And that's why I thought, oh, well, that's how they're going to connect the noise, you know, in the walls of the Great Northern. Obviously that didn't happen.
Wouldn't it be interesting though that their grand scheme is to save some original members for a continuation? You know, all of a sudden season 4 has Joan Chen, Michael Onkeen, Ian Buchanan, Piper Laurie, and you know, they bring some of those characters back.
I've heard,
and you know,
I mean, I've heard some crazy
Heather
conspiracy.
Graham.
All right. Well, anyway, but I've heard some crazy conspirators who think they've already shot scenes for season 4.
Wouldn't that be spectacular?
I mean, I don't think there's going to be. If there is a season 4, it's not going to be what we got. We're never going to get another 18-hour thing. If anything, it's going to be like 6 episodes.
Yeah, but you know, it wasn't. You know, that was part of the. You know, it's coming out that was part of the problem, was that Showtime thought they were paying for 9, and Lynch said it's more than 9. He didn't know it was 18. He thought maybe, you know, 12 or 14, and then it became 18. So it's whatever length it needs to be, it seems like.
So George in the chat says, I severely doubt Onkeen got all his scenes before filming. No, I agree. He did. No one did except Kyle. I'm just saying that if he got one scene and then maybe got another scene and maybe got 3 or 4 little scenes, he was like, what is this? I'm like arguing with my wife who's screaming at me. maybe that was not supposed to be Frank's wife. Maybe that was supposed to be Harry's wife. And he's just like, what this? I don't know. I could see him going, I'm not coming out for this. I came out for Fire Walk with Me. I was left on the cutting room floor. And the scene of the picnic scene that he shot with Josie, I don't even know if that was shot, but you know, I could see him just being like, I don't know. And just, this isn't going to be Cooper and Harry together doing something. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that could be. He may have wanted the nostalgia trip, and when it wasn't going to be that, he thought, pass. You know, it was interesting because Kimmy Robertson and Harry Goaz have been doing appearances together, and she was like, yeah, as soon as David called me, I'm like, woohoo, you know, and Harry's like, yeah, I had to kind of wrestle with it to see if I wanted to go back, you know. So it's interesting that, you know, how it hit the different actors, whether they even wanted to do it or not.
So Jeff in the chat is saying Cameron loves Heather Graham. Laugh out loud. Here's the thing. I very much
what's
like
not to love.
I really do like Heather Graham as an actress, but it's Annie Blackburn, the character she plays in Twin Peaks, that I love, and I think that it's a role that has a lot to it, and I don't think it's been fully explored yet. So that's why I always like get all blushy around the character and her, because I just think there's so much potential for that character that has not even been explored yet. But I'm sure some of you guys have seen my Facebook post and my tweet this morning saying that if you would like to see Heather Graham on this podcast, send her a tweet, let her know, make some noise. You guys got Amy Shields on here. We can probably get Heather Graham too if you guys make enough commotion. So wouldn't that be great, Hal?
Oh, it's always great, man. Anytime that you know, one of the cast wants to come on the podcast is a day of celebration.
You practically had a heart attack when Amy Shields showed up.
Hey man, I practically had a heart attack when she was at that festival in that pink sweater. Oh my god! Wow.
Okay, let's see here. If you guys have any questions or comments, throw them in the chat. We'll get to them. Nick, earlier today, I have a question for you. This is Twin Peaks 101, all right? But Nick has a question for us, and I told him we'd address it tonight. He wants to know who killed Teresa Banks. Was it Leland or was it Bob? I already have my answer, but what do you think?
Well, it's kind of one and the same, isn't it? I don't think Leland killed without Bob's influence, did he?
See, my feeling is that Leland got into some trouble with Teresa Banks.
Mm-hmm.
He was about to be blackmailed. Bob wasn't going to allow Leland to just get arrested and caught for this kind of nonsense. So I think Bob kind of took him over and knocked out Teresa Banks. Like Bob did what Leland probably couldn't do himself. Because in the jail cell when he is dying, he says, they made me kill that girl Teresa. So right. So that wasn't a Leland choice. Maybe Leland thought of it, thought I need to do something about this, and Bob was like, I'll do it for you because you're the weakling here.
Mm-hmm.
That was just always what I kind of pictured, but I don't know if you had a different answer or not.
Well, you get into the nature of what Bob is. When Albert has that line, maybe it's the evil that men do. I mean, what is Bob? I mean, he behaved in the doppelganger differently than he did in Leland. So maybe it's like a parasitic thing that gets into your mind and soul, and it's represented abstractly by Bob. But when he's in you, it maybe takes your darker instincts and enhances them.
But also Leland is a complete human being.
Yes,
that had Bob inside of him. The
right.
Doppelganger was only half of Dale Cooper.
Right.
Just
what I'm saying is, like, Leland as a regular guy may have thought, wow, teen prostitute, but yet I'm a married man. I have a daughter that age, and not do it. But with the influence of Bob, he not only partook of that sinful action or whatever, but then he killed, because Bob's inside of him, influencing that darker nature of himself.
Right. I wonder if Bob, being in that bubble, obviously they had to do something because Frank Silva's situation, but I almost wonder if that was another Mark Frost, David Lynch reference to One Saliva Bubble.
Right. The boy in the bubble.
Okay. Next topic here. I saw this online, wanted to address it. Maybe you can give us more insight into this. Blue Rose magazine has announced that they're going to be doing a Kindle version, but it's now going to be extended and exclusive content
Yes.
that people who ordered the hardcover magazine are not going to get. Now, my personal thoughts are, if you ordered the hardcover magazine, you should be given an access code to get this exclusive content and not have to go the Kindle way and pay all that money to just get the exclusive content. But that's just me. Where do you stand on this? Because look, we're very happy with the magazine. We're very happy with the people who run it. They do a fantastic job. Mm-hmm. But when I read this, and maybe I heard that they may have done a Facebook post about this explaining why, but I haven't seen it. But just from the outlook of this, I was like, oh, that doesn't quite sit right with me. I don't know. What do you think about all this?
I'm with you on that, because I do have a subscription to the magazine, and I do like it, and I do like the folks that create it. Scott Ryan, who lives in my hometown of Columbus, Ohio, and John Thorne, who of course was the co-creator of the classic Wrapped in Plastic, along with Craig. What was Craig's name? I can't think of it now. The late great Craig. But anyway, yeah, as far as the extra content on the Kindle version, it was disappointing, because I have subscribed to the magazine. I don't really want to I don't like Kindle. I don't like reading things online. I would like that extra content, but I don't want to pay an extra fee just for maybe 4 pages of, you know, a little featurette kind of thing. So I was a little disappointed at that concept. Like you, I think if you had a subscription to the magazine, you should be able to access that additional content somehow. Whether that's just technologically not viable for them, the way they've got it set up, I don't really know. But yeah, I was a little disappointed that I feel like I would have to buy it over again just to get 3 or 4 extra pages. So yeah, Jeff, so I won't be doing that.
Jeff and Jeffrey are saying Craig Miller.
Craig Miller.
Yeah. So hopefully they fix the situation so that nobody feels like, you know, they're getting gypped or something. Because I mean, the subscription itself is pretty pricey, isn't it, for the hardcover?
It is, but it's a nice, slick color magazine, you know.
Oh, I'm not complaining about it. I'm just saying, what is the price right now for a subscription?
To be honest with you, I don't remember. I just paid the price and forgot about it. Right. I don't really remember. It's not outrageous or anything.
No. I'm just saying that you are paying a premium price for this magazine. Yes. And I think it would be cool if they said, hey, you know what, we're going to send you an access code so you can get the content as well.
And I appreciate that they want to do more and they, you know, can't pack it all in, and maybe the page count makes the printing costs, you know, not cost effective or cost prohibitive. And so they put a little extra content in the Kindle to kind of promote that too. But yet, as a subscriber, I feel like, how come I don't get, you know, or they maybe should put a, after 4 or 5 issues or 10 issues, then they put, you know, a bonus magazine for subscribers with that extra content in it, or a standalone Kindle with just the bonus content for one price. Maybe they could do something like that down the line.
So David Lynch has done something uncharacteristically what he doesn't ever do. He came out this week and explained something. Hal?
Yeah.
Remember when he came out and said that is not a tea kettle?
Yes.
Right. And it was like he only comes out of the woodwork when people have clearly misunderstood what he was trying to do.
When they're way off.
It's like where's Audrey? I'm never answering that. Right. Oh, but it's not a tea kettle, right?
Yeah. Well, I think he felt bad because he designed the spout. He goes, I wish I would have made it straight, because then people would have called it a tea kettle.
Right. But David Lynch came out and stated something that a lot of people have were talking about midsummer. He explained the meaning behind the lawman statue.
Right. I did see that. Yes. Had something to do with his father, right?
Spoiler alerts. Hal, I'm trying to explain the story.
Okay, sorry.
But yes, but that's basically what it is. So a lot of people were saying it might be Bowie, it might be Sheriff Truman, it might be the lawman pose. It's totally that stuff. But Lynch did say, my father, when he was 19, worked at a fire tower. He had to hike once a week for 5 hours to get water and food, and then hike back, and then climb way up into this tower to scout out smoke and fire and call out to the firefighters if he saw anything. I'm not sure if he took the first selfie, but with a string, he managed to take a picture of himself holding a pistol out with a stance, and that was the impetus for the statue. It does not look like him, but that is his pose.
Right, and he had that statue specially commissioned for that reason, he said as well, right?
Right, but I mean, it still means whatever you want it to mean in terms of the show, but we now know the idea behind it. It's not David Bowie.
Yeah, and that is very uncharacteristic of Lynch to explain that, but maybe he thought it was important because it is an homage to his dad.
Totally, and I thought that was great. The next thing, something I shared earlier today as well, is I was going through some old pictures, and I came across one of those variety pictures of Kyle and Laura Dern and David Lynch in the car. Remember when they did
the old beater car? Yeah, with Lynch in the back seat. Yeah,
and you know, these pictures came out, you know, before the series, and I'm looking at it, and I remember at the time thinking, oh, these pictures are great because it's totally, you know, new and Twin Peaks-ish, but also Blue Velvet kind of callback with all 3 of them together. But you know what? For all the secrecy of season 3, wow, do these pictures kind of spoil where the show is going to go. I really think that David Lynch kind of tilted his hand there, looking back, going like, oh, wow, this thing is going to culminate with Kyle and Laura Dern in a car.
Yes.
Crossing over to the other side.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
It is, yeah.
I mean, because and
even though they weren't dressed as their characters.
No, they weren't. They weren't. But I mean, but you get the same feeling looking at these pictures that you would in part 18.
Yeah.
They seem like they are on the lost highway to nowhere.
Yeah, it evoked that vibe for sure. But not knowing what was to come, you know, it wasn't.
No, but I'm saying,
but
I'm saying, looking back, it's amazing how much Lynch tilted his hand by allowing those pictures to be done that way. Another thing that you know, someone else reminded me of is that, you know, the majority of the trailers that came out were all from the finale.
Right.
Know, most of the images from the trailers were from the finale.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, you couldn't really show anything from the middle because then you would tilt your hand about the whole Dougie situation.
Right.
But shocking that one of the main images they would show us was Cooper on Laura's doorstep over and over again. The shot of him like looking, you know. So that's surprising to me.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I guess without the context and with a camera close up, you don't know really where it is from. But it made I think one of the issues with those trailers they were cool, and they were definitely moody and atmospheric, but they made everybody go crazy because we were like going, where is these shots coming from? Is this the doppelganger posing as Cooper driving to Twin Peaks? And we're still on Dougie. It's part 13. When are we going to get out of this thing? Because Cooper's got to be driving somewhere and and then we get Cooper driving and people complain about the 8 minutes of him driving. So we finally get it. And then it's too much for people.
It's not what we want.
No, I mean, but what do you think about that? Like Lynch going, I'm not answering anything, you know, him just eating a donut in one teaser. And then but the majority of the trailers revolving around the finale. Isn't that surprising?
I think like you said, it, you know, they had to show Coop in the suit because then that doesn't give anything away, even though it ultimately does in hindsight. It doesn't give the Dougie stuff away at all. So that was kept a secret. So because, you know, Coop in the suit is familiar, so we still don't know what context that is, but it's not Dougie. That would be a spoiler.
Yeah, I mean, if they had said Twin Peaks season 3 and just shown some of the Dougie scenes, people would have been literally like, "Holy jumping George!"
Yeah, can you imagine if you know the Lynch eating the donut? If one of the teasers was when Dougie takes that first sip of coffee, you know, with his time, and he just so it's just like Twin Peaks season 3, and he's like, "Hi," and that was it. You know, you go, "Whoa, the hell."
Yeah, that would have been surprising. I would have loved to have seen what the chat board said then.
No doubt.
They would have been like, the Black Lodge fried his brain.
You know, what's with that green suit?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So yeah, so the big outfits that they're selling everywhere is the candy outfit and the green suit.
Right.
I guess those are the standout.
I think it would have been fun to go as Dougie. I would have bought that green suit, but not for like what you said. The price tag was like $300 or something.
Something like that. You know what they should be selling in those stores? You should be able to take home an evolution of the arm tree.
Yeah.
And just have that in your house.
Yeah.
And then as you walk by, it just says, "Squeeze his hand off."
Maybe there'll be a Funko version.
Oh my God. No, please not. So Hal, have to ask you, you know, it's been a month and a half or so since the show's been over now. It feels like a year ago. Are you feeling differently about the show now than you did then? Because I know you really liked it then. I mean, has it just evolved, or where are you right now in terms of, you know, your fandom on season 3?
I'm just in a kind of you know, it happened and it was great and I loved the ride, and now I'm sort of it's kind of the back of my mind. I still think about it from time to time, but I'm definitely not, I've kind of avoided all of that, minutia theorizing. I seem to have lost interest in all of that, how all the dots connect, because I don't think it really does necessarily, or it needs to. But, come December 5th, when I get that Blu-ray set, I plan to kind of re-immerse in it and watch it in its entirety again. And in the meantime, I'm just taking a, psychological breather.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that. Yeah, I never really been big into the theorizing myself. I'm more into like theorizing like what we think about the show.
Yeah.
I mean, and no offense to all the people who do. If you like doing that stuff, that's great.
Yeah.
If you're on the Reddit boards, awesome. I'm just saying I'm not on those boards just because I kind of choose like what I want to, if I want to dive in or whether I just want to dip my toe in. I don't have to go all in like for every little second of the show.
Yeah,
sometimes I just want to sit back and just enjoy it for what it is.
Exactly. I think it would be fun to just watch random scenes. Sometimes I do that with seasons 1 and 2, or even with Fire Walk with Me. You just put it on at some point and just watch random scenes because they're all just, fun in that regard. You don't have to tear it apart upside down and backwards to get into it. Just watch it, feel it.
So they announced so far 4 hours of special features for the season 3 Blu-ray. A week ago, Frank and I talked about some of them, but they've since gone on to announce 2 more.
What are the 2 more? I heard the original announcement. I haven't heard the extras.
Okay, so let me just backtrack for those who didn't hear. These are basically like 25 to 30 minute featurettes that are going to be on the Blu-ray so far. Yeah. Again, this might not be all the material, but this is where we are. The first one's called A Bloody Finger in Your Mouth. I have no idea what that's going to be about.
What would that be? Let's think. What would a bloody finger in your mouth be?
Who had a bloody finger in a mouth in this?
I can't think. Even that image doesn't stand out.
I don't know. I'm thinking, does it deal with killing Daria? Is it having to do with Ike? I don't know.
But it's like a single finger. It's not like bloody fingers in your mouth. Maybe it's
no. It's a bloody
and the finger. Yeah, and the finger in Sarah's mouth was not bloody. It was black.
Right. And again, this is a 25-minute featurette. So
yeah. So it wouldn't just be about one image.
I don't know. Maybe it's the special effects thing. I don't know. The next one is called A Pot of Boiling Oil.
It could be, like the titles of the episodes. It's just a line that somebody says in the featurette.
True.
They could say, "Oh man, it was like, when I was doing this, it was like having a bloody finger in your mouth."
Well, out of all the featurettes, there's only one that I know for sure, like what it is.
Mm-hmm. The one about the gray-haired guy.
No.
David Lynch one.
No. The third one is called "Do Not Pick Up the Hitchhikers." So I'm thinking that's about the woodsman, because they walked up to the car,
yes,
saying "Got a light." I think that's what that one's going to be about.
Probably, yeah.
No, the one I don't know for sure, but what I'm pretty sure it is, it's the memorial piece, which is called "See You on the Other Side, Dear Friend."
Oh, that would make sense. Yeah, that's for those
28 minutes, and it's 28 minutes long. So there were quite a few people who passed away.
I wonder if that is. It's probably focused on Catherine and Miguel.
I don't know. I think it could be a lot of them because every episode had a dedication.
Yeah.
We'll probably have a Jack Nance thing, a Don Davis thing. I mean, David Bowie. They're probably going to talk about everybody. 28 minutes, long time.
Mm-hmm.
Next one's called Tell It Martin. I have no idea.
Tell It Martin.
Yeah, Martin.
What would that be?
I have no idea.
Tell it, Martin.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably, like you said, it's Lynch probably saying, "Tell the story, Martin."
Yeah.
Next one is the man with the gray elevated hair. So I'm assuming that's Lynch, right?
That's the obvious one, yeah.
All right. What's this one about? 2 blue balls.
Watching Amy Shields getting their candy costume.
Wow. Wow. How?
Sorry. I know. In the Harvey Weinstein era, I shouldn't be. That was a
No.
bad comment. Sorry
Oh
about
my
that.
goodness. How?
Sorry. I take it back.
It was a funny joke though. The next one is called Bad Binoculars, 27 minutes long. Okay.
The Jerry Horn story.
It's the Jerry Horn outtake story of David Lynch going, David, we don't have a lot for you to do in this series. Why don't we just go out in the woods for a day and shoot some stuff? That's what I think happened.
Yeah.
And
or it could be the making of the blowing up of Richard Horn. Could be a behind the scenes special effects.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. The last one that we know of right now is called The Number of Completion, 28 minutes long.
The Number of Completion, which is that was the what, 10?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's where we are right now.
The Number of Completion, that's almost sounds final too. Like Final Dossier, The Number of Completion. I don't like those final sounding titles.
Well, like I said, it's a continuing story.
Yes.
That doesn't mean that they have to, like I said, I don't think season 4 is going to ever be an 18-hour thing, but I could see it being anywhere between 6 to 10, like 6 to 10 episodes.
I would like a 10-hour flashback series with the people in the 50s, with the frog moth, with Leland up at the lake.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
But they would need Bob for that. There's no Frank Silva. That holds a lot of possibilities back, just because there's just no way to do it.
Now, we don't know exactly what these featurettes are or how much material is going to be in them. Are they going to be incredibly well edited and a lot of great people, going back and forth in terms of, discussion points, or if these are going to be kind of long-winded, kind of like the Lynch 1, Lynch 2 segments, that we've seen, where they're just kind of like fly on the wall, behind the scenes kind of stuff. Right now, though, just from knowing these titles and knowing it's 4 hours, are you cool with this, or do you want more? I mean, obviously we want more, but I'm saying, do you think this is it, or do you think we're going to get some more stuff?
Well, the fact that they kept adding, that they added 2 more after the initial titles, maybe is a good sign that there will be more. Maybe, also the fact that they want to leave some surprises for when they, actually do the pre-sale. Maybe there'll be more. Deleted scenes would be good, but yet maybe that's too much to ask, because they may want to save that for a repackaging down the line somewhere. So, I'm cool with 4 hours of bonuses. I have no problem with that. Sure, I'd always want more, but 4 hours is a nice chunk.
Have you noticed, though, that none of these are any deleted scenes?
Right.
Well, as far as we know,
that'll be for the now really complete mystery box set.
Well, listen, I think this is what's going to happen. They're going to release this set, and then within the year, we're going to get the big set that has all the seasons together.
Right. They got it. They're going to double dip you, man. There's no way around that.
Well, they've already double dipped us twice with Fire Walk with Me, right? So.
Well, quadruple dip then.
We have a very important question for you, Hal.
Okay.
You got to put on your thinking cap for this one.
All right.
KS says, how...
I'll put on my thinking cap. All right. No, I won't. Go ahead.
KS says, how... You left the pre-finale live stream to grab a pizza. What kind did you get?
It was a veggie pizza. No burnt swine flesh on my pizzas.
Gloria says 4 hours of bonuses. That's great. Unbelievable. I will say this. I'm very happy with whatever we get, because that's what Twin Peaks fans do. We're very happy with anything we get, because remember when Fire Walk with Me came out on DVD, we got a trailer and that was it. And not even a good menu. It was just like play, set up, special feature trailer. Trailer was ridiculous. So I'm happy with it. However, I will say this again. I haven't seen the feature, so I can't speak definitively. I do know that's an 18-hour movie that took them 5 years to make. I kind of expected, honestly, I mean, not Showtime's track record, but I honestly expected somewhere between 8 to 10 hours. So we might hopefully still get some stuff announced.
Here would be a good bonus, right? A disc, a standalone disc, the concert at the Roadhouse, because we know they filmed it all in one day in its entirety from beginning to end, even with the changes of the bands and stuff like that, just from beginning to end, that whole filming day. That
would be great. And again, there wasn't a lot of downtime. People came in and out.
Yeah.
And you know what, though? You make a good point, because here's what I think happened. I think that the Chromatics and I always get this name wrong, but Au revoir, Simone.
Yeah,
Au revoir, Simone. That's from Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Someone reminded me of that.
Is that where that comes from?
Yeah.
It's a Pee Wee Herman line?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny, because there's these three gals who form their whole band around Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's hilarious.
It's like Death Cab for Cutie. That's an obscure line from the Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour. Well, that was a band. And
yeah.
Or no, it was a song by the Bonzo Dog Band or whatever. Death Cab for Cutie.
But I think what happened is, they came in, they recorded a couple songs to give Lynch some, choices, and they left. And Lynch probably did not. He probably, he picked the songs he wanted, and then he had them say, "Can you do like these 2 or 3 songs?" And they probably did like a 3 or 4 song list. And off they went. And then I think that Lynch in editing didn't realize that, maybe which way the episodes were going to go, which ones he was going to cut which way. So I think that's why we got the 2 Chromatics and the 2, Simone songs and stuff like that, because I don't think he necessarily planned to have 2 of them. I think he just was like, well, this song fits the best, and never mind that they're still wearing the same clothes and all that stuff,
Right.
Because that's where people start going, well, wait a minute, what day is this? Because everybody's still wearing the same clothes. Maybe in hindsight, I mean, it would have taken a long time, but maybe in hindsight, maybe it would have been better to have the bands change clothes between the songs, just so that there was a difference there.
Yeah.
But that's where the confusion is. And I had that confirmed on one of these Thought of the Day videos that all the bands were filmed in one day, and the bands came off and on just like all day long.
Yes.
So
that's why the extras are all the same too.
Right. So there's that. And what I would love to see, which we will never see, but it'd be the greatest thing ever, would be like a nice 45-minute to an hour-long featurette showing highlights, because these were recorded, just because they would have forgotten what they were going to say or forgotten what they were talking about. I want to see 45 minutes to an hour of the best moments of Frost and Lynch working on the script via Skype.
Oh man, yeah.
The moment they
behind the curtain.
The moment they realize Dougie, and then the moment they come up with the realization that they're going to hold him from episode 3 to episode 15.
Right.
Because there's no reason to hold Dougie that long unless you're going to make that kind of fourth wall joke. Right? Comes out in 3, goes back in 15.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. And you'll notice that they kind of start running out of footage of Dougie as it goes on, because like he's like very prominent in so many episodes, and then by the time we get to like 15, it's like we get like the one shot of the boy throwing the ball at Cooper, and that's the only moment he's in that episode as Dougie.
Yeah.
Right. So they were starting to, I think, run out of footage of Dougie. So they were kind of stretching it out to 15 as much as they could. And they're just like, never mind if it doesn't make sense. Put it in there that he's, playing ball with the boy. Even though he's still out with the Mitchum brothers, it'll make sense eventually, I guess. But I mean, they had to do that. Otherwise, they couldn't say starring Kyle MacLachlan in that episode if he's not even in the episode.
Right.
Right. So I think it's hilarious. But anyway, let's see here. We got some controversy here. How people are already thumbing our video down.
Why? Because I made a bad comment about something earlier.
Oh, no.
Good.
No. I'm sure everyone probably laughed. Gloria says, Cameron, you want to be a little mouse in Mark Frost's office? No. I just think it would be fascinating to see, and David, what do you want to do about Audrey? We leave her there. End of series. Don't you think that we'll have that there will be no catharsis for the audience? Fuck the audience.
Right.
I kid. But, there is, listen, as much as I love Mark Frost and David Lynch, and I understand they have, their ways of doing things and I get why they do certain things. But there is an aspect of some of the stuff they do to be a little bit trolling. It kind of is. Like all the stuff with Dr. Jacoby and the shovels.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're going to get people really analyzing this. And then it's shovels.
But I think that's the sometimes overlooked humorous aspect of David Lynch. He's, Sabrina Sutherland said that he's got this great sense of humor that some people miss because they're, all of his weirdness or whatever. But that's just out and out hilarity stuff.
No, I think that what we got in the series was everything of David Lynch, even like his wicked bad humor, which like I remember when David Lynch was on Jay Leno and he was talking about On the Air, and Jay Leno goes, "What network is it on?" He goes, "Jay, it's on the network that starts the alphabet, A, B, C." I was like, it's just the fact that he would just say that kind of silly stuff. So in a way, we did get kind of, Candy, trying to kill the fly with the remote. And then we got the deadly serious stuff in there. I mean, it was kind of everything all mixed up. I think the
guy that used to call his production company Absurda, it's the absurdity of it all.
I think where some people may have issues with season 3 is that it wasn't balanced like Twin Peaks originally was, or Blue Velvet was balanced. It was very much like it was either all dark or it got like really goofy for a long time. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't, you never knew what you were going to get in the episode, like which direction we were going.
One insight I liked that Sabrina Sutherland brought up, she goes, because, people were complaining about the lack of Angelo's music throughout season 3. And I really liked what she said. She said, you got to remember, this was all one director's vision. So in the original series, it was multiple directors. So you had David Lynch did the template, and, you had Angelo's music in there. So everybody then wanted to go, okay, it's got to feel like Twin Peaks. So I've got to put wall-to-wall Angelo music in there. Where if David Lynch had been in control, he may not have made that choice. And so now it's his vision. He didn't want wall-to-wall music. So that's why it felt different, because the original series might have felt different had he helmed every episode.
Who are you kidding? Who are you? Are you trying to kid me?
That's what she said.
Okay, now you sound like Michael Scott from The Office. Listen, David Lynch in every episode of Twin Peaks, except for the Jimmy Scott song and the Louis Armstrong music, was wall-to-wall Angelo. Fire Walk With Me is definitely wall-to-wall Angelo. And that was one director's vision too.
True.
So I don't think it's that. I don't think David Lynch 1990, 1991 would have done what he did in season 3. This is 25 years later, David Lynch doing this.
Agreed.
right? I mean, he's changed as an artist.
Yes.
So he's not going to do the same things as was doing in 1990.
Yeah, that is a more plausible explanation. Yes, I agree. He's just changed.
Yeah, I mean, even though this is not Inland Empire, he's still coming off Inland Empire. You know, so it kind of, and Inland Empire didn't have a lot of music in it either.
So, while we're on the subject of the music, we should say we lost another aspect of the Twin Peaks family, which was Grady Tate, the renowned jazz drummer who is known for his brushwork on Angelo Badalamenti's music. And on the soundtrack, there's Grady's Groove, and you should all check that out in memoriam to that sound, which is a huge part of the Twin Peaks musical landscape for my ears. Grady Tate.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, he just died like about a week and a half ago.
Is he the one on the drums during the Audrey's music?
Yes, all the brush work, all that sound, that's Grady Tate. A great jazz drummer. He died at age 84 about a week ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's sad.
It is.
How many of the soundtracks do you have?
I have all of them.
No, I mean, did you buy all those exclusive albums and stuff, or you?
No, I didn't rebuy on vinyl. No.
Okay. I'm kind of curious who's doing that besides the vinyl collectors. Are we getting Twin Peaks collectors like getting all that stuff too? Because I have a record player, but I'm fine with the CDs right now.
Yeah, I have a turntable, but I don't fetishize it, and all that stuff about it sounds warmer and stuff. Yeah, but there's also cracks and pops, and I have a fondness for the vinyl sound, but it's not better than I don't know. I go back and forth on it. I like CDs. What can I say? I don't need the vinyl.
People are saying
you can fetishize the piece if it's a nice collector's piece, and but no, I don't need to rebuy my whole collection on vinyl. That's kind of for the millennials that didn't have it originally. They fetishize that stuff, but I don't.
So a lot of people in the chat are kind of unanimous about this. They all want a Johnny Horn teddy bear.
Yeah, yeah.
Why isn't the pop-up store selling that stuff?
Exactly.
Maybe I would drive to LA if they were selling things like that.
And since it's got that Dumbland face, I wonder if it does the farts too, like the Dumbland guy.
Dano Mano says, "Who do you think came up with Dougie, Frost or Lynch? And how long did they laugh an evil troll after they invented Dougie?" I think Lynch came up with Dougie because the idea would be Cooper comes out of the electrical socket, right? Mm-hmm. And you can see them going, okay, Cooper's back. But Cooper's not back, Frost, right? He's turned into Dougie.
He's split, yeah.
And I think that Cooper's more like buried inside the. I mean, he's not Dougie. He's being told he's Dougie.
Yes.
He's just kind of like, because remember, his head gets fried.
Right. Yeah.
And he goes in there.
Exactly.
But I think it's Frost's idea to keep him as Dougie as long as possible. I think it's Frost's idea to keep him from 3 to 15. That's got Frost all over it.
Just because he likes to write for Dougie? Because every writer has kind of favorite character.
I think that Frost really likes structure, and that gives them some sort of structure to play with. It also, if you think about, okay, Cooper comes back and he's got to fight the doppelganger, and then, then what, right? Mm-hmm. Well, they don't have enough for 18 hours of that. So let's keep him in there as long as possible as Dougie. So we only have to deal with him for, such and such time when he comes out. And by that time, I mean, the fight with Bob is over and done with by the first 30 minutes of part 17. Right. So there's not a lot of story.
We did fall in love with Dougie. I mean, everybody loves Dougie, and plus it allows for that emotional payoff when Coop finally does come back.
But Coop doesn't come back for, that long. I mean, it's not like he comes back and it's just amazing and victorious and all this stuff. We get very little Cooper in this. I think we get more Cooper at the beginning than we do in the last part. Even though we're focused on Kyle, it's just that it was the Cooper we know and loved in the Black Lodge in those first 3 episodes that we were watching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think someone mentioned the other day, I saw this online, it was kind of funny that that Cooper turns into Dougie, I think 2 hours and 15 minutes or 2.5 hours into the series. And then when he comes back out of being Dougie, it's the same time till the end. So if it's 2:15 before he becomes Dougie, or 2.5, whatever it is, when he comes out, he goes, wakes up at the hospital. It's then like 2.5 hours until the end of the series.
Interesting. Yeah, you wonder how much they actually structured for that symmetry like that.
I mean, and Sabrina will say like, oh, it was meant to be watched this way, and I agree, it probably was, but that doesn't mean it's the only way to watch it.
You're right.
I think there's a variety of ways to watch it. Obviously, the first time you watch Twin Peaks season 3 should not be on 18 screens simultaneously.
with all the soundtracks also playing simultaneously.
Exactly. All right, let's see. Any other questions?
Just play seasons 1, 2, Firewalk with Me, and seasons 3, and all the soundtrack albums all at once simultaneously on 20 different screens.
So everyone's saying I got the vinyl. I'm a big collector.
That's cool. I mean, they're nice pieces.
I'm not complaining about them. I think they're fantastic. I'm saying that if I got them, they would just be in my collection, and I wouldn't even touch them.
Right.
And
you don't have a million pieces of stuff like that anyway. Cameron, your collection, you don't have enough life left to ever watch and listen to everything that you have. Let's face it. And I'm speaking for myself too. There's not enough hours left in my life to read and listen and watch everything that I own.
I said to someone earlier today, I said, he was talking to me about movies, and I said, yeah, there's another movie that's on my list that I need to watch. And I say, you know what? I think I've gotten to the point where I collect more than I watch ever.
Right. It is. It's that tipping point where, the acquisition of the piece becomes more interesting than actually watching it. It's like, what is that? That's the collector's mentality.
Oh my God. When Criterion announced the other day that they're releasing The Breakfast Club with an hour of deleted scenes,
I know.
All the deleted scenes that are on John Hughes' 3-hour rough cut that was talked about in a 1999 Premiere article, and now we're gonna get it. It's just like, oh my! I was like flipping for. I mean, like, that is a day one Criterion release. I won't even wait for the 50% off for that one, and because I just want to watch. I mean, I'll just pop that in the moment I get it. But but when I get Spider-Man: Homecoming on Blu-ray, I'm not gonna be. I'm
goes straight to the shelf.
It goes straight to the shelf, right. And maybe in 2025 I'll listen to the third commentary track.
But no, you won't. I'll bet you never do, because you've got too much other stuff. When are you gonna ever pull that out and go, I need to do that tonight?
Yeah.
I'm the same way. That's the only way. That's the only reason I'm needling you, because I can totally relate.
Let's see here. Okay. While I'm going through the questions, let me ask you this: season 3, again, isn't it very cool that they're now calling it season 3? Right? I know the return was something that Showtime came up with now, but you remember for a while people were saying it's not season 3, it's the return.
Right.
And now the box set says season 3, which again gives me hope that there's going to be more, because obviously season 3 is another number here.
It doesn't say the final season like some box sets.
A lot of box sets now will say the 6th and final season. But
exactly right.
So there's that. But you mentioned Dougie, you mentioned Fall in Love with Dougie. And again, let me bring this up, and I'm not saying this as a criticism. I'm just trying to have a discussion here. Listen, the Dougie scenes, they're great. They're very well written. They're very well directed. They're very well acted. They're amusing. They're funny. They're silly. But for Lynch, and it's kind of the longest part of this series, right? I mean, we spend a lot of time with Dougie doodling and making his little ladders and that type of thing.
Right.
There's not a lot of scrutiny or analyzation you can do with those scenes. They're basically surface scenes.
There's not a lot of incentive to go back and rewatch that scene where he's scribbling on and making the.
And again, it's very well done. I'm not complaining about that. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that, like, do you think that's going to affect season 3 on rewatches? Now, we were doing a number of rewatches while the series was on. We were watching each episode at least 3 or 4 times a week, each new episode. But now that you've seen the whole context of it, and we now know what are loose ends, what are, like the Miriam subplot that kind of just comes and goes. I don't know. I mean, I will just accept it and this is it and off we go. But I can understand why some people would say, I don't have the patience to sit through this whole thing again. Because I now know what is a keeper and what is, just kind of a loose strand thrown in there. Now when it comes to season 1 and 2, now I bring this up because I saw a tweet saying, well, being being confused by Twin Peaks is part of the Twin Peaks experience. And I think it's true for season 3's experience, but I don't think it's true for season 1 and 2. Season 1 and 2, you were maybe a little bit confused while it was on because you didn't know which way it was going or what meant what. But now that season 1 and 2 are over, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, there's not a lot of, season 3, I think, has more like, well, does that fit in with this? Season 1 and 2 is very much like its own thing. And I think where season 3 gets a little bit, because it is different, you don't have that warm, familiar, Twin Peaks feel to a lot of it. It's very cold. It's very distant. We're kind of all over the globe, right? Yes. So I think, do you think the fact that season 1 and 2 had that rewatchability because we were going home to familiar faces and we loved the characters, what season 3 has going for it is just a lot of loose ends with a lot of new mythology and mysteries thrown in there. It's a different experience. But do you think it affects the rewatchability of 3, or do you think it increases the watchability of season 3? Because it's not like season 1 and 2.
Yeah, I mean, I know exactly what you mean. In some ways, I don't feel compelled to revisit season 3 as much as I probably would enjoy pulling out seasons 1 and 2 if I just want to kind of be entertained by Twin Peaks. Season 3 doesn't feel like I'll get that same jolt of Twin Peaksiness. I know it sounds stupid, but yet I wonder too if, those Dougie scenes that we're talking about, maybe they're just too close. We've seen them and we know they kind of go nowhere, but so does Nadine's super strength, and so does, little Nikki and things like that, but it's all part of the fabric of it, in hindsight. And I think those things in season 3 that we may go, yeah, who needs to watch that again when it's so close, will endear themselves to us, much like some of those subplots in season 2 that also go nowhere.
Well, again, I want to talk about things without feeling like I'm coming down hard on this stuff, because I'm not. But
yeah.
But I mean, there's not much news here, people. We're trying to discuss things here. But I mean, there are some, like, there's so many loose ends of this thing, and I'm not talking about the Audrey thing. Okay, how about, like, why is Dougie keep looking at Bushnell's poster? Right? I mean, if we're not gonna deal with Bushnell being, I don't know, again, you're kind of set up for something like Ice gonna come in and try to kill Dougie and Bushnell's gonna take him out or something.
Yes.
But we don't get any payoff from that. It's just like him looking at, maybe it's just the fact that Bushnell's a continual fighter. He's a fighter in life no matter what. But I'm just saying there's little things like that where you're just like, okay, like we're kind of heading in a direction and we're not going to get that. And I mean, is it just about subverting expectations? Then great. But then you also run the risk of alienating people, because you have to know when to throw in the fan service and subvert. Like, it's like you have to subvert expectations, but still give people what they want to see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting too. Like I've mentioned before, you know, my girlfriend hasn't seen it yet, so if I rewatch it with her, you know, when she's trying to make sense of it as it goes, I'll feel it'll be hard not to say, oh, don't worry about that. No, that doesn't really go there, or you know what I mean? Just like we all did on the first viewing. It's like, you know, like the scene with the guy in Harry Dean Stanton's car talking about you know, Linda, you know, in the wheelchair and stuff. It doesn't go anywhere.
You mean the accused murderer?
The accused wife beater, yeah.
Well,
which is sad.
Well, she lived, right? So, but
she did live, yeah.
But attempted murderer.
Attempted murder. Yeah.
I was scared to death he was going to show up in the finale.
Boy, what a weird story that was, man.
Totally. And you know what's even weirder is that he was supposed to be on the video with us the night that happened.
Oh, and he said he couldn't make it for whatever. Yeah,
he said I
got something else to do that
night. He was going to come on and do one of the videos with us, doing an instant reaction video with us, and wow. he contacted me at the last second and said that he was going to be busy doing something, and maybe he'd catch us tomorrow or the next day.
Frightening.
Yeah. So
wow, he made the wrong choice there, man. He should have come on the podcast. His life might have been totally different.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's just little things like that, you know, where I just go, oh, you know, you had all the pieces like set up, and then Frost and Lynch decided to go left instead of right. Mm-hmm. And it's like, did you go left because that's where the story needed to go, or did you go left because you knew the audience was thinking we're going right, and so you just did it to be different?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah, and who knows what?
And they would never admit to it. They'd be like, well, you know, the story is the way the story needs to be. But I'm saying when you're writing the story, you're going, okay, because your natural inclination as a storyteller is to start connecting things, especially towards when you're getting towards the end, say in the last 4 hours. I'm almost wondering if they're like, you know what, that's too much connectivity. We're gonna go this way.
And I wonder if you know what Mark Frost feels about the finished product, because you know they've said now that you know they wrote the script together. You know, by normal terms, it would have been 9 hours. It expanded to 18, and Mark wasn't on the set at all during the shooting. He was writing the final dossier.
Oh, he was there for his scene.
Okay, for his scene, yeah. But
so this is what I heard. You're throwing all this Sabrina Sutherland knowledge at me. Let me throw some back at you.
Okay.
So I heard that Frost and Lynch wrote it. Then Frost went to write his book, and Lynch took care of most of the rewrites on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And like showed them to Frost, let him know, kind of kept him in the loop.
Yeah.
But the on-set rewriting, if there was any, was Lynch.
Yes. So they didn't deviate too far from what they, and anything they did was Mark Frost approved, except for little happy accidents that.
And Lynch showed him the final edits of the episodes, but Frost had no input, as far as I'm aware of, on the episodes.
Right. So that's where I'd be curious to see what Mark Frost thought of the final finish.
Is there? I mean, listen, it's a very. I don't know. We're getting into some weird, touchy stuff here because
Mark Frost has disappeared. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't come out and said anything.
He hasn't commented on anything before since the show has been on.
Do you think he's saving it for his book tour, the inevitable book tour to come?
It might be, but again, I'm not trying to, start any controversy, but I've seen things online where Sabrina Sutherland has come forward and said, anything in Mark Frost's book is Mark's vision of Twin Peaks and not David's.
But they said that on the first one too, where David's like, that's his version.
Right. And I'm just saying, while that may be true, right? Mark Frost is the co-creator of the series.
Yes.
He is the co-writer on this series and this new one. He's credited as the executive producer. He's credited as, like I said, co-creator, co-writer. I don't know. I mean, Lynch is, he really seemed like a great guy. And Sabrina is, obviously, like we've said, she's a wonderful, wonderful person that, like I said, I have no issues with. But it is kind of surprising to me that they keep kind of throwing Frost under the bus. That's his vision of Twin Peaks.
But I think it's more along the lines of, I think Mark Frost even knows that while they co-created it, that it is David's thing. And the way the fans reacted when David wasn't going to be a part of it for a while, I think he realizes it's ultimately a David Lynch thing that Mark Frost contributes to. And I think it was I think that Lynch said, okay, write your books. That's fine, because that's what you were doing otherwise. You're a writer more than than a director, which is what David Lynch is. So write books, but that's your thing. I don't have any input in that. And ultimately, the show is my thing that you contribute to. I think they've come to an understanding that that's the hierarchy of it all. Because if Lynch can take that final script in season 2 and throw it out the window and do what he did, and ultimately he's got the final say of what Twin Peaks is.
Well, and also the book is going to go into much more detail than Lynch is prepared to discuss about anything.
Right. He's not interested in it.
And also the secret history of Twin Peaks really, for the most part, did not go into anything about this new series. I mean, there's little things here and there, but for the most part, it was a clean break.
Had very little to do with anything that we saw.
So, yeah, I mean,
But for those who want to do the theorizing and have the arcane, backstory and stuff like that, it's cool. But
now listen, I want to believe in this, in what you talked about, this hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Where I kind of differ from you is because Lynch says what he says, because Sabrina, I've seen her answer people on Facebook, posts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And her tone seems very direct. The fact that she said on the UK Twin Peaks Festival, that Mark wasn't really involved. We kind of showed him some stuff, and but you never hear Sabrina really talk about Mark. It's. I mean, I know she works with David Lynch very closely, but you don't really hear her talk that much about him. I haven't really heard Mark Frost's name at all during this whole season 3 being broadcast. Mark Frost does not come out and say anything on Twitter since the show has come out. I mean, he says political stuff and jokes and stuff, mm-hmm. but nothing having to do with Twin Peaks. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying that if that hierarchy exists, then great. But the vibe I get is that people aren't really communicating well behind the scenes. I just get that vibe.
Yeah, I mean, we'd love to see them, come out together and hold hands and stuff like that, and think that this tight collaborative team. But I don't really think that's the nature of it. It's Mark Frost and David Lynch. Yeah, it was John Lennon and Paul McCartney too. But they had more of a rivalry than maybe in the early days, like writing the pilot. It was like Lennon and McCartney sitting in the same room together, throwing lines back and forth. But as time went on, one did one thing, one did the other thing, and the whole was greater than the sum of the parts. But they weren't really a team except for in name only.
And again, I don't know anything from obviously behind the scenes, and I really do hope everybody is getting along and everything's great. And but I'm just saying, if they are watching, what people are seeing is not it doesn't look like people are getting along, even if you are great. I'm just saying that the perception of the public is that Frost is over here, Lynch is over here, Sabrina's got David's back, and Mark Frost is just kind of like floating over here, like not saying a word about anything. And I mean, he doesn't do like one interview or anything like after the finale, like, hey, what'd you think, Mark Frost, or something like that? Just nothing. Just radio silence.
Could be that they're just rolling it out in that way where, Mark Frost came out, did the book tour originally before the series aired. Now the series is done. Lynch does his festivals of disruption. The actors all get their thing going to the festivals and things like that. Now Mark Frost will come back with the book tour. And then maybe when the Blu-ray comes out, we'll see David and Mark together, commenting together.
That would be, that's how I don't know. I think it'd be great. I don't.
And everybody gets a spotlight, and then at the end, it culminates with them coming out. And
I just remember when they did that big announcement. It's happening again. They both simultaneously tweeted out. Okay, I haven't seen that kind of camaraderie since then.
Well, even when the show was being originally canceled by ABC, they did some things together. There's footage of that on YouTube where they were sitting there trying to bring the show back, and they worked together.
Right.
So yeah, you haven't seen any of that on this. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So I really hope that they kind of show us that they're still kind of like a team when it comes to this production.
I really think they might do some of that because, like I said, Mark will be back for his book, and then I think when the Blu-ray comes out, we're going to see Lynch and Frost together in a few interviews.
Now, by all accounts, this book is 100-something pages. It's very small.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, this is the book. If you remember the press release for the book.
Yes.
This is the book that was supposed to come out prior to the series.
Yes, the original concept for the book was much like we're supposed to get here in the final dossier.
So,
like the first tome we got, which was nothing like they announced.
So I think this was Lynch's work here. I think this is Lynch saying to Frost, "Hey, this is great. I'm not comfortable with this information coming out prior to the series. Can we hold off on this till later?" So, yes. But because this is 100-something pages. Again, I have no confirmation about this. I'm just throwing this out there I'm theorizing here.
Mm-hmm.
How much you want to bet that this book are outtakes from the Secret History of Twin Peaks? That this was supposed to be in that book, and Mark Frost just excised those portions and turned it into a second book.
Makes sense. Yeah. It's stuff that Lynch wasn't cool with prior to the show airing, and so they just took those bits out. All the parts with the characters that would bridge, the 25 years. Yeah,
that seems to make the most sense to me.
Yeah,
because I can't see Mark Frost sitting down and saying, "I'm going to be telling the in-between story of these characters over the last 25 years and have it be only 100 pages."
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. You're right. It is probably things that were excised from the original volume. That
because
perfect sense.
Because
why would it be so slim too? If he was going to bookend with two books, they'd be about the same size, you would think too.
Right, and also, I mean, when the first book came out, he said, "Oh, there might be a second book coming." Right, so I don't know. It just screams to me that's what it is, the excise portion.
Yeah.
So,
although we'll know, I guess, if it's written in the same style,
True.
If it's a totally different style, that would be,
But I wonder, like, which characters we're going to focus on.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to tell us, that Nadine and Ed weren't getting along? Spoilers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. Let's be honest here. It's not going to be like the cool stuff, right? It's not going to be what Mr. C was doing for 25 years.
Yeah. Do you think that anything in his book will clarify anything that we have questions about from season 3? I don't either.
No. I mean, he may throw in something about like, materials were being ordered, four glass walls or something were being sent to New York, but we'll never know who paid for it. And
or who visited Audrey while she was in the coma, a few vignettes like that.
No. None of that stuff. It's going to be a whole section will be about how Norma franchised her restaurant.
Right. We'll see all the documents that were on her table during the whole season 3. We'll see all that paperwork reprinted, facsimiles of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be any of the stuff we want to know about, because that's the whole part of subverting expectations. Oh, they want to know this, so we're going to give them this. And guess what? They're still going to buy it.
Mm-hmm.
So. All right, let's see if there's any other questions here.
Well, now you're bumming me out. It's because it's the last little.
Norman says the final dossier is 160 pages on Amazon. Still a small book.
Yeah, because the Secret History was how many pages? 300, 400?
It was a lot. Yeah.
A lot.
Too much.
Too many.
Jamie says, I just noticed Hal's t-shirt. It's awesome.
I'm in a Warren Zevon kick right now. Enjoy every sandwich. Rest in peace, Warren.
Jeffrey says, I don't think we're going to get Mark saying much about season 3 moving forward. And Wayne says, I hope we get to know what happened to Donna Hayward. That might be answered in the book. What happened to Donna Hayward?
Yeah, since they now know that Lara Flynn Boyle refuses to come back, they might as well spill the beans on Donna's story and wrap that up.
Come on. Okay, let's say Lara Flynn Boyle says no, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you go get Moira Kelly.
I would prefer that, actually. I know Lara Flynn Boyle is. Well, I did see an interview with her. She doesn't look as bad as in some
That's
of those
not my concern. I'm saying
I know, but
I'm saying Moira Kelly is. It would make sense for, if you're going to be basing season 3 off Fire Walk with Me, then you should have Moira Kelly come back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Here's where I'm glad Donna Hayward didn't show up, because I heard some whisperings, and again, this is not confirmed, but that if it wasn't Gersten Hayward, it was going to be Donna Hayward. And I did not want to see Donna Hayward, Moira Kelly against that tree with Everybody Loves Steven. That would have broken my heart.
It'd be really cool is because they've played with the time warp and stuff, and things have now changed. Have both Donnas come and meet each other.
That would have been amazing. That would have been amazing. But Lara Flynn Boyle is in the series in those pictures in the background at the Palmer house.
Yeah.
And when Judy as Sarah comes in and starts stabbing Laura's picture, and she knocks all those pictures off the table, there's only one picture that remains, and that is Laura and Donna as she's stabbing the picture. And I don't think that was a coincidence. Mm-hmm. I also think that's not a coincidence because in that episode they mention that Donna knows me, right? Where she's telling James, or she said even Donna doesn't really know me, right? She tells James that. Also in that scene we get Bobby killed a guy. Again, never mentioned at all in this new series. So the fact that Lynch left those in there, even though we're not getting a season 4 right away, he still left a lot of things that they could play around with.
Sure. So, lots of open doors to explore.
So maybe he won't kill off Donna Hayward in the book. Maybe they'll leave that open in case it does come back.
Yeah.
Jacob says Donna was in season 3. She was a lawn chair. God, everybody evolved into different things. Hal.
The evolution of the Donna.
Scott Chrissy says yes. Everybody loves Steven. There's your spinoff show.
Sitcom.
Alice Lynch is in here in the live chat. She says the book will be 99 pages of testimony by Annie Blackburn and 1 page on her disappearance. Hopefully not.
Hi, Alice.
Yeah, that's someone who hasn't been on here in a while. Alice, she should come back on here. Dano says that is my wish. I hope so, Alice. I really doubt it. But yeah, I mean, obviously, that would be cool just to see some mention of Annie. I think it's an important thing.
Definitely.
Since she was conveniently just written out of season 3 altogether.
Yeah, I still don't get why Kyle in the pre-publicity said we'll definitely find out how's Annie. What was he thinking? Because he'd read the script by that point.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, let's be clear here. Him saying how's Annie at the end of season 2, it's not really a question.
Right. It's a mocking statement. He said, how's Annie, to say I'm normal, and then he goes in the bathroom, like, how's Annie? Like, I give a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. It's not a question. It's just him making fun of the
of his fooling the other two, because he's really exactly.
Jeff says Animal Life. That's
That's good.
Norman is trying to get on my bad side, saying that Annie was the woman with the red balloon.
Oh wow! You mean the 119 lady?
Yeah.
Oh god.
No.
Yeah, Annie's a junkie, man.
Bite your tongue. She may have been a suicidal ex-nun, but she's not a junkie.
She's what's a Bowie tie-in, like Major Tom turned out to be a junkie. Ashes to ashes, funk to funky. We know Annie Blackburn's a junkie.
All right, you're about to be ejected for another month, Hal. Jamie says Kyle was feeling the pressure to tell something when he said that, Hal. Laugh out loud. Well, you know what Kyle also said? And I remember I mentioned this to Sabrina, and she laughed out loud. I said that Kyle said that this new series was going to cause massive diarrhea to his viewers. And I said, Sabrina, this show is wonderful on a lot of aspects, but I'll tell you one thing, it has not done that to me, so I'm disappointed.
Yeah, it didn't scare. Yeah, I didn't void my bowels at anything in the show. But with the exception of, I really did think that it was pretty scary. The woodsman in part 8, when they first approached those cars and stuff, that was as close to frightening as it got for me.
Really?
Yeah, I just thought it was creepy. It was more creepy, dreadful.
I
wasn't like spooky, scared, jumpy, scared, but it was so creepy.
Let's see, I'm trying to think of like what was creepy in this series to me. I honestly think the standby of Sarah Palmer in the convenience store talking about men are coming and all that kind of thing. Using the Fire Walk With Me sound effects and music behind her, I thought that was great. Again, another thing that they completely set up that really didn't go anywhere. I mean, she talks about men are coming, and again, you could say, oh, it has to do with the Mitchum brothers and all that stuff. I get all that, but the way she says it with the fear and the fact that, again, I get, for some reason, I always like fall into this trap thinking that Twin Peaks is going to end in some sort of huge Lord of the Rings like massive battle or something like that of good versus evil. Because when she was like saying the men are coming, I kept thinking the woodsmen are going to show up. This is just what I thought. Again, this is me in my head trying to connect things. I thought the woodsmen were going to show up. I thought they were going to start killing people in the town. I thought that the God-a-light guy was going to kill Dr. Jacoby, take over his podcast, start putting everybody to sleep, and the moths were going to start jumping in everybody's mouths, and like all hell was going to break loose.
Wow, that was very apocalyptic vision you had there for the series.
Well, I didn't think that was going to be the end.
I'd like to see your version of it.
I didn't think it was going to be the end, but I thought, imagine if like all that happened, right? Yeah. And then Cooper and Carrie Page drive into town, and that's why the town's dead quiet and no one's on the road. Like, how creepy would that be?
Yeah, everybody's passed out and there's frog moths flying everywhere. A plague of frog moths.
No, but then when they go up to the door and then it's the Tremans, like
Yeah.
that would give you, see that you're already giving people so much dread and despair, and then you end it with the Tremans at the door, and it's just like, I'm just saying, like there's ways they could have gone that would have added to the dread. And I think the lack of music in this series contributed to the lack of dread.
So I got to do the David Lynch voice. Now that's your version, Cam.
It is my version, my vision. And it would have gotten a lot of people wanting to rewatch the series more. Then, because I mean, listen, I have a lot of people that obviously love the series and they can't wait to own it and stuff like that. But there's quite a few people, Hal, that I get talking to me that say couldn't stand it. You know, I loved it when it was on, but looking back, a lot of it was a waste of my time and stuff like that. So I hear it all.
I hear you.
So,
because like I said, I haven't shown it to my girlfriend yet, and she's more of a casual fan than me. So while she's really interested in it, and you know, she's into Ayurveda like David Lynch is. So I've told her some of the concepts, the tulpas and things like that. She's like, oh, I'm really curious, you know, but I just wonder what her ultimate reaction will be, because like you said, a lot of stuff goes nowhere, and whether she'll feel it was a waste of her time or not, I really don't know.
Let's see here. Dweller on the Threshold says, I was waiting for an epic battle, Cooper versus Cooper. Well, that's the other thing. I really did think that, like, when the woodsman came in to fix you know, the doppelganger in the sheriff's station, I thought they were going to turn and see everybody looking at them and start charging them and start killing everybody, and Freddy was going to go in there and start crushing their heads and killing them, and then that would free up Cooper to fight Bob. But we didn't get that.
No.
So okay, here. Norman says, I thought the truck you guy got the most deserving end out of all the baddies, including Richard. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was fine. But again, it was kind of obvious because the people who die, a lot of people who died in the series were like the mean of the mean, the bad of the bad. Like I said, the carjackers, they couldn't just try to steal Dougie's car and explode. No, they were like pelting rocks at the kid and stuff like before they, you know what I mean? It was just like we get it. They're bad guys. They're bad guys. We don't need to turn everybody so bad in order to die.
Right.
You know, but then they just ran over a kid as well. So
you were talking about, you'd like to see the moment in the Mark Frost, David Lynch Skype conversation where they created Dougie. How about the moment where they decided that Freddy with the green glove would be this? Oh, you know, that's how we're going to dispatch Bob. Is this kid with a green glove?
Are you okay? Listen, are you? I kind of know which way you're going to go on this probably, but how are you sitting with that? Like, are you cool with that, or is there a part of you like, really? Like, we turned this into like the X-Men all of a sudden? Like, where are you?
Yeah, a little bit disappointed in that's how Bob goes down. It just seemed to sort of come out of nowhere, and you know, the green glove thing reminds me of like the Hulk or something. So I have that vision whenever I see that green glove. I think Hulk smash, which is like this stupid superhero thing that I don't want to be part of Twin Peaks at all. So yeah, a little bit disappointed in that concept, even though, you know, it's enjoyable to watch. It's what it is, and I accept it. But, you know, conceptually, I kind of wish they would have maybe done something else.
And that is what I'm talking about in terms of the story is going right, so let's go left.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to go right to, you know, like it's okay to go a direction, especially in the last hour. You know, give us 5 minutes of something the fans want to see, which is, you know, Cooper taking out Bob. But honestly, you know, would I have done things differently if I was writing this with Lynch? Yes, I would have said, it's okay. Let's just trust this. It's going to pay off. But I honestly, at the end of the day, I really could care less, because I really don't. I don't think Bob is dead anyway. I think Bob just got sent back to the lodge.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not really too worried about it.
Or we've got the experiment to take his place that ratchets it up even another notch, you know, as far as pure evil. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I really, at the end of the day, that's the least of my concerns with season 3.
And I really think Bob is probably gone because there's no more Frank Silva. They don't want to keep doing that, scraping the bottom of the barrel footage stuff, So I think if they ever move forward, that's going to be done.
Right. I do agree with people in the chat. They're saying the scariest moment of the whole series was Maddie's death in season 2.
Oh, for sure.
That's definitely in the top 2.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I've said before, that was the only time that cliche, you'll be sitting on the edge of your seat. I actually sat on the edge of my seat. After that scene was over, I looked at myself and I'm going, I'm actually sitting on the edge of my seat. I was completely mesmerized. It's still frightening. I remember that feeling of seeing it air for the first time live and just like, God, this is the scariest thing I've seen on network TV.
I remember, because they kept saying Saturday, November 10th, find out who killed Laura Palmer. Really? And I remember it was like 10:50 at night on a Saturday night and looking at the clock going, well, they just arrested Ben Horn. Is this where we're going? Is this where we're going with this thing? Yeah. Okay. And then boom. That whole Roadhouse scene happened.
And adjusting his tie in the mirror, and then I'm just going, whoa.
Yeah, and I just remember. Right. And then when the world spins music going, and then it showed Cooper looking like all intently but like looking like past time and space, and just kind of like contemplating what the world is, the universe is bringing towards him, and then it just did that slow dissolve to the curtains.
Yeah,
music still playing. It says executive producer Mark Frost, David Lynch. You're left there speechless. Now, what they did not include on the DVDs and the Blu-rays is they didn't include the tags at the end of episodes. You know how sometimes it would come back and Lucy would be on there and her voice would be like, have some donuts. Twin Peaks will be right back, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, well, after it said executive producer Mark Frost, David Lynch, and the music's going, it faded out. And then it faded in, and you got the sign of Twin Peaks. Welcome to Twin Peaks.
And a wind.
And it was all just a wind.
Yes, I remember that.
And then it held that for about 5 seconds, and then it went to black for the commercials. Now, I have the original broadcasts, and it's an amazing moment.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing moment. God, if I had I do have my phone here. I might, while we're talking, I might pull it up so people can see what I'm talking about, because it was insane and amazing and just the greatest thing ever.
It was.
And I'm always so sad they never included that stuff on the the DVDs and the Blu-rays.
Yeah.
So go ahead
I've got my original VHS tapes too. And I don't have a player that plays them though, man. You're lucky that you've got a setup, because my old videotapes just won't play anymore. Or maybe it's my player. I don't know what it is, but I've got so much stuff that's irreplaceable from those original tapes. Like you said, all those little bumpers and promos and things. And
it was amazing. It was, I want to pull this up so people can see this thing, because it is pretty cool.
Man, there was nothing like experiencing that for the first time though, man. What a great
oh my God.
memory.
You were just like, it was a heart-stopping moment, let me tell you.
Yeah. And that whole killing of Maddie stuff was just so brutal at the time. You're just going, wow, I can't believe they're getting away with this on ABC. It just was so different.
But it haunted you the rest of the night.
Oh my God. Haunted me for 25 years. Still haunts me.
Yeah. All right, hang on. I'm just trying.
And see, that's another thing, the criminality of not using Ray Wise in season 3. That was a big disappointment, man. I wanted to see more of him.
People are wanting to know, how much am I going to sell my Twin Peaks original broadcast VHSs? None. It's a time capsule. And you know what's really funny? They're in perfect condition. Like there's
why don't you digitize that, man, and make some copies?
Because I don't have that ability anymore. I used
Farm
to
it out, man.
No, but
pay somebody to do it.
But I used to have a DVD burner that I could plug into my VHS.
Yeah.
And I always thought those things would be around, but people aren't. It's hard to. I can get blank discs, but I can't. They don't sell like the burners anymore because mine died, and so I never was able to do it. But oh my god, I mean, like it's so funny because like midway through season 2, the Gulf War starts, and then all of a sudden, like as it goes on, it it goes, the Gulf War's over.
Yeah. I remember on my tapes, I've got a special about the Dalai Lama that I inserted in there. I just recorded, and it's like between 2 episodes. And when I'd load my tapes out to people, they'd go, "What's the deal with the Dalai Lama thing?" I go, "Well, remember Coops into the Dalai Lama?" I just put it on there for now.
Yeah.
But it would always piss them off when they're trying to watch it. It's like, why did this pop up in the middle? And I've got the original TV guide, little TV guide, synopsis of the forthcoming episode. I would cut those out and I taped them all over my VHS boxes.
All right, let's see if I can get this going here. Let's see. All right, this is not going to be the best quality because I filmed it off my TV, but it'll kind of give you an idea.
Yeah.
Let's see. All right, hang on. Let's see here. Almost done here. Okay, here we go. I really appreciate it. We will see you next time. So take care. Did you hear it at all?
Yeah, I could hear it. Yeah,
that was the wind. It just was the sign of Twin Peaks.
Yeah,
but let me play that again because it's so cool.
It is.
Let's see.
So you just used that as a bumper on one of your podcasts. That's
cool. Because I just wanted people to. I thought it was so cool that but they didn't include it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Sorry guys, this is the thing about live video here. There we go. Now hit the okay, let's see. Well, thank you so much for everybody for listening. I really appreciate it. We will see you next time. So take care. Is that creepy?
It's a great wind sound. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's what concluded the Maddie episode.
Yeah.
And oh my god, it just left you speechless.
Totally.
Yeah, but they don't include it on any of the stuff.
Yeah, I feel so lucky to be kind of a first generation fan. It'd be great to to have it all in a chunk and binge watch, for the first time again. But man, there was nothing like seeing it unfold.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's off my phone, off my 480 TV back there. But obviously, if you got the, if you just watched it, if you were here in my room right now, you'd be like, "Oh my god, it's the greatest thing ever."
Yeah.
There was just a few things like that the show was able to do like that just blew me away. And while I don't miss commercials at all, especially with this new series, you know what? They did kind of contribute a little bit to the original series, a little bit. There was something
because they knew they were going to be broadcast that way, so they designed those segments to have breaks. So.
Remember that one episode, right, where they sent in the mayor in there with Lana, and then Cooper goes, "We wait," and he folds
commercial break, come back.
They were still waiting.
Beautiful, yeah.
But looking back, I'm like, why would the FBI and a sheriff's department let an old man with a shotgun go into a room alone with a girl that he wants to kill and be like, "Don't worry about it, Dwayne. Just go in there."
And one of the shots of the light at Sparkwood 21 too, it was like, it was green and then it's like stop and then they would go to commercial break, right? It would turn to red and then they'd break.
Yeah.
They did stuff like that. Yeah.
What's funny is years ago, I had a YouTube channel that unfortunately got yanked down because of once Google took over, the party was over, right? But I used to upload a lot of Twin Peaks stuff, like some of the bumpers, some of the stuff saying, tonight on ABC, we have Twin Peaks, and it was great stuff. And the channel, like I said, got yanked down for being just because YouTube's stupid sometimes. And but I'm happy that some people kind of ripped those down and they kind of made their own like Twin Peaks videos with like a bunch of stuff, like 12 minutes of like bumpers.
Yeah.
So some of mine are included in those. So whoever made those, awesome. I'm glad you were able to pull them off before.
Yeah, a long time ago, I had there was a whole, somebody called it like a Twin Peaks archive that was a DVD torrented of all that stuff. And I've since lost those files for some reason. I don't know why I lost them, but yeah, there was a whole collection of that cool stuff.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff came out in the box sets, but there's still a lot that's lost.
I'm glad on the gold box they included the Saturday Night Live stuff and they included the Georgia Coffee commercials. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, that stuff was left off the Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have to get everything. And then you have to get the Artisan DVD set to get the commentaries.
I wish they would have put the full Saturday Night Live episode on there too. Even though there's lots of why. No, not you want that when Kyle was dressed up as the German. Dieter stuff. That was hilarious, man. Now's the time on Sprockets when we dance. And Kyle's in the background doing this German expressionistic, like Klaus Nomi.
He looked so out of place.
Hilarious, man.
Looked completely out of place.
Touch my monkey, love it, touch it. I love Dieter, man.
That's one character that SNL wisely did not make a feature film after.
I like Dieter.
Probably from not lack of trying. No, I have that as well. And it's funny that you mentioned the Alan Smithy Dune, because I remember when Dune played on TV, and this is years ago. This is during Twin Peaks, because Twin Peaks was so big, right? They brought back Dune as a 2-night event on TV. And they would say, from David Lynch, creator of Twin Peaks, Dune. And then I remember watching it and seeing the opening credits and going, directed by Alan Smithy. That's not David Lynch. Right. And that's how I found out about Alan Smithy.
Yeah.
And also Judas Booth, his screenwriting credit.
That's right. Judas Booth. Yeah. Wonder what who's listed as sound design on that?
Alan Split.
Oh, okay. So no. David Lynch didn't take that credit originally.
No. But what's funny is that in the theatrical cut, David Lynch plays a role in the movie. He's a spice miner. There's right, but he cut himself out of the extended version. Because if you watch the theatrical cut, you're like, "There's David Lynch." Then the extended cut, nah. But what's cool is the DVD has the extended TV cut on there. So,
okay.
Have you ever seen it?
I've got it. I don't think I've rewatched the extended cut, the Alan Smithy version or whatever.
Listen, it's a weird movie. It's maybe not entirely successful, but there's enough of Lynch stuff in there it's cool. And a lot of the Twin Peaks people and people from his repertoire companies in there. So
yeah, I need to pull that out again.
It's cool. It's it's more entertaining than Inland Empire.
Exactly.
At least something's happening, Virginia Madsen, a beginning is a very delicate time. Know then that it is the year 10,191. Oh my God.
So what are the chatsters coming up with?
They're talking about, did you ever see the Fire Walk With Me TV version? No.
Who showed that? No. Show it?
Dano says, I missed Fire Walk With Me in the cinema. Saw it on old gritty VHS 95. Oh, you missed out. I saw it twice in 1 week because it only played. Well, actually, it played a few weeks where I live, but it was only when I was out of town. That was the hardest thing ever because the town I was in didn't get it. So I rushed back to my hometown and managed to catch it twice before it left.
Yeah,
so
I saw it twice probably on its original showing, and then for years on various formats, and then about a few months before season 3 started, the local cinema here played a 35 millimeter version of it, so I got to see it on the big screen again from a 35 millimeter print. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Sailor says, I saw Fire Walk With Me opening night twice, back to back.
I sat through it twice. Cool.
Mark wants, no, I'm sorry. George says, commentaries, ? Yes, there were, I don't know, 3-4 commentaries on the Artisan DVD season 1 box set. And they were cool. One was by Dwayne Dunham. I believe one was by Leslie Lincoln Glatter. So yeah, let's see. Halzak says, one day I want to see Fire Walk with Me projected on film. It's my favorite movie.
It's worth it if you get the chance, because like I said, I just saw it, about a year ago, and it was fantastic. And I've seen it so many times that I thought, I'll just do it because I'm getting excited about the new season. But it was totally, and in fact, Scott Ryan from the Blue Rose magazine was there at that screening. We ought to plug that since we talked about that earlier. He was there, and he sat down next to me because he knew I was a first generation fan like him, and he's just like, man, was that not fantastic to see on the big screen in a 35 millimeter print? And we just kind of went ooh and awed about it afterwards. So that was fun.
I mean, I really liked it in the theater. But the greatest film of Lynch's to see in the movie theater is Wild at Heart.
Oh, for sure.
It just absolutely is. Listen, his sound design is next to none, but Wild at Heart took it to a whole other level.
Yes, it did. And those fire scenes, just, and that striking of the matches.
Because, listen,
I mean,
Blue Velvet has great sound. Twin Peaks has great sound. All his movies are just wonderful. Wild at Heart, the sound design by Randy Tom, and Randy Tom. I'm surprised Lynch never utilized him again, because what he did with the sound work in Wild at Heart is second to none. I mean, like I've said before, every single time, if you see it in a theater, make sure they crank it loud.
Yeah.
Because if you watch in a theater, which I have before, where the sound is low, it's not very cool.
Yeah.
But if you watch it in a sound where the sound is cranked up the way it's supposed to be. Yep. When the matches strike, it's like every seat is like D-Bucks. Yeah. You're shaking. When Sailor is beating Bob Ray Lemon, the entire front row is like bouncing like this. Every time Power Mad, when he's like stabbing and steer, it's all right. The entire first two rows are just like that. And then when they're dancing in the club, like I mean, it's insane.
I know, man. It's his most rock and roll movie. It's the greatest.
It was, and then when Grace Zabriskie is screaming, she's like, ah! Right?
Yeah.
Your whole seats are just shaking, and it's just like it was absolutely insane.
Love that.
And then when they were stuck in Big Tuna, Texas, and the movie slows down, the seat stopped shaking. So in a way, you almost felt like we're stuck in Big Tuna, Texas.
Yeah. And remember how eerie it was, the Panavision on the big screen where they come upon, the girl in the car crash, Sherilyn Fenn. It was just so eerie, dark, and spooky, man. That I'd never really had that same feeling, watching it on at home.
Right. And so, like I said, if you have a chance to see any David Lynch movie in the theater, go ahead and do it. But if it's Wild at Heart, run.
Yeah.
Run to see it. That is one that I would drive an hour out of my way to see it in the theater again.
Yeah.
But only if they play it loud.
Yeah, only if it was like a Lynch approved, projection and sound.
And from what I understand, when they talk about it on the DVD, they talk about the Cannes premiere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Willem Dafoe is talking about. He's like, every time they lit the match, it was like, whoa. So it was great to see that it wasn't just my theater that just went berserk, turning it all the way up. Like that's how we were supposed to watch it. And so when I went to LA a few months ago and saw it projected, I thought it's Los Angeles. They're doing this whole retrospective. It's going to be awesome. I was like this. It's cool seeing it again. Like it had it so low.
Oh.
And it was and then the final reel, what was it? They had it misframed. I can't remember. It was like the final reel was screwed up. Like
Lynch always says, it takes you right out of it.
Yeah, I was like, no, this is horrible. I've never seen Eraserhead in the theater. I think that would be amazing. I
saw that when it was like a midnight movie back when I was a kid. I saw it and had no idea what to make of it, And then it was years later when I watched it on home video that I really saw the humor in it. I found myself laughing, and I couldn't. I go, why did I miss that when I first saw it? It was just, it felt impenetrable when I was a kid, and then when I watched it later, I was laughing through the whole thing.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, definitely. I wish you could get. I mean, even like Lost Highway, like it was great seeing the theater.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't as loud as Wild at Heart.
Oh, Wild at Heart was blasting, man. I remember my first showing. I saw on the big screen that big Panavision picture and that loud sound. I was just like, this is badass.
Well, you know what's crazy about Wild at Heart too is, and within the first 15 minutes of seeing it, I didn't even care like how the rest of the movie was, or if there was, any payoff or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I turned to my friends and I said, "We're coming back tomorrow."
Yeah, yeah.
Because just that first 15 minutes,
but
it wasn't even just that. It was the opening credits when it just went Wild at Heart, and when it slammed on the screen, your seat shook every time.
Yeah.
Right. And then the fire.
Yeah.
And you're just, and the camera's like panning, and you're just, and when the entire screen is, there's not 1 inch that's not fire.
Yeah.
And the theater I was in basically the red room, and so you had I'll show it to you. The let's see here. Yeah. Let's see. So all right. So here I am. I mean, that's not me, but this is the theater I was in.
Cool.
Right. So the drapes are pulled out, but you could still see the drapes. I'm in the front row. The front row was not, there was a stage here because they used to do Rocky Horror there. So you'd be reclined back. And so you were never looking up. You were always looking straight. But the curtains would come to about here. And so when the fire is roaring on the opening credits, the entire screen is fire. And then the curtains had the leftover fire on it. So it looked like the whole theater was burning down.
Nice.
And of course, being the Twin Peaks people we are, just the red drapes everywhere.
Curtains,
And it looked like Dorothy Valens was going to come out from Blue Velvet and start singing any second. This is one to me, I feel like this was the greatest like theater experience of my life.
Yeah. Lynch would be proud of that story.
Yeah. So hang on, gotta focus.
Cool.
Sorry. Come on, focus, guys. There we go.
There you go.
All right, let's take some last things, and then we're out of here. We've already almost been here 3 hours, Hal. But it's so wonderful having you back on here.
It's been a pleasure, man. I love talking to you about this stuff.
See, Jamie says, Wild at Heart rocked my socks off in the theater. Hal, show them your socks one more time. Would it rock these socks off is what I want. Oh my Lord.
Yeah, baby.
Oh my God. Let me tell you something. When your girlfriend's sitting on the couch, do you ever just like walk up to her Michael J. Anderson style and just...
She thinks I'm a total nerd when it comes to this stuff. And she knows I've been doing these with you, and she's like, every time I start telling her some tidbit about some Twin Peaks news that she could care less about, she's like, "You're podcasting again, aren't you?"
You know what Sailor Ripley would say about your socks?
What? Oh, my socks are on fire?
No, he'd say, rocking good socks.
Rocking good socks.
Jacob says, Cameron, have you ever done a show on how the Lynch universe connects through all of his films? No, but they pretty much connect basically on a common denominator that Lynch made them all.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, the reason why there's stuff that connects
is because it's what's in his head. Yeah.
Right.
So you get recurring motifs, but it's not like a narrative connection so much as just these are the things that interest him.
It's not the David Lynch cinematic universe where Sandy grew up to become Lula.
No.
But I do.
It's not the Kevin Smith-esque universe.
No, but I do understand how someone might think that Jeffrey Beaumont became Dale Cooper.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Right.
I mean, it's not the same character. But
it's not the same character, but it's a logical extension of that concept. Yeah.
Exactly. Wilton says Lynch isn't Marvel, no shared universe. Right. Mandy says, seems strange they haven't put up the pre-order for the Blu-ray yet.
I've been wondering that too. When's the pre-order date, man? I'm getting antsy on that.
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. Retail.
Yeah.
Because at first I thought it was going to be 5 discs, and now I'm hearing 8 discs. I don't know if that's true or not.
8. So what's your guess on the price?
$54.99. Retail.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
so
probably sale.
Will be.
I'll say sale 45. Okay. Opening first day 45, but retail 54.
I can deal with that.
That's a normal Showtime release, unless they go all out and they start doing $80. But see, they did $80 for the 2 seasons in the movie. I don't know if they can do $80 for just season 3.
Yeah, some of these box sets are bumming me out. Like, I'm a big Bob Dylan fan, so his bootleg series, which started out being like 2 discs, and now it's like bootleg series number 13. The deluxe edition. It's 8 CDs and a DVD, and if you order on his website, it's another 2 discs exclusive, and it's $129.99. I'm going, Jesus, man.
Jacob's mad that we kind of made fun of the Lynch Share Universe thing. He said that Share Universes have been around since the Odyssey, you Philistines.
Well, there's things that, there's connectivity. And
Charlie Rose, if you find on YouTube, Charlie Rose is talking to David Lynch about Lost Highway, right. And he says, are your films all connected? And he says, no, there's things in them that connect them because I made them.
Right.
But it's not the same world.
Right. I've heard that quote. Yeah.
I mean, if it's true, then maybe all these movies take place in Henry Spencer's head.
Yeah.
Since
I like that connectivity. Like the one example I like. Do you like Jim Jarmusch's films?
Sure.
That in Down by Law, Tom Waits is the DJ. Do you remember that?
Oh, okay.
Okay, and so and John Lurie keeps going. Man, like you're a DJ and you don't talk, and then finally Waits does a rap. He's like, hey, here we are at Tipitinas and playing a little jazz and stuff like that. And, Lurie goes, man, you're a DJ. And I had to, twist your arm and get you to talk or whatever. So then in the rest of Jim Jarmusch's films, every time somebody turns on the radio, it's Tom Waits as the DJ on the radio, man. So I like little stuff like that. They're not connected in any other ways, but I love stuff like that. But I don't really think.
But I mean, Lynch. But Lynch does kind of go out of his way to connect things without connecting it, right? The fact that the entire opening of the Industrial Symphony No. 1 is Sailor and Lula having this breakup scene, but in the credits, it's just broken-hearted man, broken-hearted woman. Right. So they're not called Sailor and Lula, but it is Sailor and Lula. It clearly is Sailor and Lula.
Right. It's the alternate ending, really, of Wild at Heart. They didn't stay together.
No, but I mean, it's but it's the same clothes, it's the same accents. Yeah. So, I mean, things are connected, but they're not connected. I mean,
it's like that atom bomb in Eraserhead, and it's like there's things that connect it, but it's not of a piece. It's not connected.
Oh, I think it is of a piece. It's David Lynch's oeuvre. So that's of the piece.
True.
So, Mandy says, didn't Lynch say Lost Highway and Peaks are in the same universe? I've heard that before. Maybe I can see that, considering that half of Lost Highway came out of Twin Peaks, the whole James and Evelyn subplot.
Yeah, I've heard him say that too, and maybe he's talking more about like the Robert Blake character could be a denizen of the Black Lodge.
Come on, though. We've all known that. I mean, the moment we see Lost Highway, the moment we see the homeless person in Mulholland Drive, we know instinctively these are inhabitants of the lodges.
Right.
You know why? That's why we don't question it.
Right. It's like the cowboy is another one. Even in the Straight story, he uses that. Remember when Alvin, he breaks down right at the end before he gets to his brothers, and then that truck comes in out of nowhere, and then magically his thing starts up again. That's a benevolent spirit, It's all the same trip.
Right. So I mean, like, people don't question the Lost Highway thing because we just, as Lynch fans, bring like his films with us. So we go, oh, the mystery man, he's part of the lodge.
Right.
You know, the lodges have moved to Los Angeles now, but
yeah, it's like the man from another place. It's things from another place. It's inexplicable, but somehow you intuit it.
Exactly. So, I'm trying to see if there's anything else here. George says, yeah, the Club Silencio seems like a part of the Black Lodge. Actually, Club Silencio is part of the White Lodge.
Yes. Same theater. Yeah.
All right. On that note, Hal, thank you so much for joining me.
Hey,
I
man.
really appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. Come back more often.
I will.
And I got to say, I'm really happy with these numbers. I mean, we have close to 100 people watching us live.
Beautiful.
You know, almost 2 months out of Twin Peaks being off the air. So I guess there is still an appetite for us talking David Lynch and Twin Peaks and all that stuff. So that's great. Makes me really happy.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate it, man.
So
hit that subscribe button.
Oh yes, please do. You know what? Let me just say something about that. We've been hovering at around 2820 for about 4 months now.
I know. We got to get you that 3K mark, man.
I know. I want to hit 3,000 so bad. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. Make sure to obviously give these videos a like and share them and all that great stuff.
Yeah, I'm sick of looking at that 2.8K. I want to see 3.
Well, you know what? For some reason, I mean, I lost 25 subscribers in the last week.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, there's not a lot to talk about, guys, in terms of the Twin Peaks universe. But or whatever, I don't know what their deal was, but yeah, I kept looking, and every day it was going down more and more. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's terrible. But I think this is a great channel, so I'm a little biased. But again, you know, there's a lot of YouTube channels that do this full time, that do this for a living, and they're able to put up like, you know, 5-10 videos a week, and you know, and kind of talk about all types of things. I have to be kind of selective about things because of just my scheduling. So I try to do the best I can. But, you know, every once in a while I surprise you guys with a new different type of video, or, you know, and there's lots of crazy and fun guests that show up. So you never know what to expect on these videos. Half the time I don't even know what's happening on these videos.
I always enjoy your Blu-ray updates too.
Oh, you like those?
Yeah, I do like them because I'm like, wow, he collects everything. I'm envious of your
what's the most
vast knowledge.
What's the most surprising thing you've seen me on?
I think it was the I don't know, what was it? It was something. I'm just going, wow, you really need that on Blu-ray, Cam. Other ones I'm like, cool, Charlie Chaplin Criterion Collection. Some of them I'm just going, wait a minute, part 3 of what horrible movie do you have to own?
Don't come after me for my Lego Scooby-Doo collection.
The Legos, yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. Here's one. I'm going to throw this in quick out of nowhere and non sequitur, but you need to see this movie. I think we talked about it one time before, and you said you'd never heard of it. Have you ever seen the Flaming Lips Christmas on Mars?
No.
You've got to watch this movie because it's coming up Christmas time. You should find this movie and watch it. It's this low budget, horrible, like it's so DIY. You'll like it. It should be horrible, but it's actually quite good. The Flaming Lips rock band. They made a movie in their backyard, and it's kind of genius. So I highly recommend it if you like strange movies. Christmas on Mars by the Flaming Lips.
What was that? Was it called Gift? The Jane's Addiction movie that they made?
Oh yeah, I've never seen that. Have you?
Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff. I remember a friend of mine in high school said, "You got to see it. It's the greatest movie ever made." I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And I like somehow I still have a copy of it because I'm like, it's nostalgia, you know.
Yeah.
But Well, I'm glad you watched the videos. I'm glad, you know, a lot of you guys watch the different videos and stuff because, you know, it's fun doing. I mean, I love talking David Lynch and Twin Peaks, but it's also great to talk about other things too.
Definitely.
I had some people contact me going, God, Cameron, I thought you only knew like this stuff, but you seem to know about a lot of different movies.
Well, you proposed that you and I do a Beatles movie retrospective, and I'd be totally into that. We got it because I got a vast Beatles knowledge, so that'd be a fun one to do.
That'd be fun. Magical Mystery Tour commentary.
I think we should do their whole like from Hard Day's Night to, you know, everything they did like film wise. Like give my regards to Broad Street.
That's what
that in there.
We're gonna throw in Caveman.
Caveman, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness, that would be outrageous.
Yeah, all the Solo, How I Won the War, all that stuff.
Yeah, that would be great. So anyway, guys, yeah, thank you again for all your support and all your kind comments. And, you know, be sure to leave comments and email and join the Facebook page and the Twitter account. And if you have a moment and you want to tweet out to Heather Graham and ask her to come on the podcast, please do. That'd be great. Yeah, I don't know if you saw my post earlier, Hal, about that every day that goes by, I dream of making my Twin Peaks fan film and then living inside the dream.
I did see that, and I had the picture of Heather Graham, of course.
Exactly. So I kind of said something a while back, and I'm going to reiterate it. If we do not get an announcement of something having to do with David Lynch, I don't care if it's Twin Peaks or not, but just something having to do with David Lynch and Showtime by Thanksgiving, then I will probably start moving ahead on doing the Twin Peaks fan film so that I can have it ready more or less for the festival.
Nice.
Because I found out, like, I mean, I looked at last year and the date, like it ends around May or so, like that, you know, so that gives me plenty of time to crank out a good 30-minute film or so, even though they said it can't be longer than 5 minutes. So I'll cut something smaller for them, and then I would put up the 30-minute online or
the director's cut.
Yeah. Well, I have to say 30 minutes because CBS put out a whole thing for Star Trek fan films, right? Because of the whole Axanar thing that happened. Because Axanar was going to be this giant, like 90-minute, 2-hour Star Trek movie. And so they came in with all these rules. And they haven't said any rules about Twin Peaks, but because it's the same company, it is still CBS affiliated. I'm assuming that if they ever did, it would be similar rules. So I'm trying to stay within the boundaries.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because they don't want fan films competing against the regular stuff, you know, because Axanar looked like it was going to be better than what they were.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, because Axanar raised over $1 million to make the movie, and they had, you know, so yeah, they were like, oh, we better come in with some rules here. So anyway, so maybe be on the lookout for that because that would be super fun. So I would definitely need help with if anyone out there knows costume design and that type of stuff because I need to do a lot of recreations of things. So yeah, so contact me if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff. But yeah, Hal, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. It's great.
Always a pleasure, man. And remember, enjoy every sandwich.
Will do. All right, guys, you have a wonderful night, and we will see you soon. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.